打得相当好，但是还手烟批再补，成都猎人这波还有反手的机会，
这都能反黑吗？哇，金木这一波打算给谁？
能
抓到机会，击杀在海里，
而且原始暴动来得太快了，这一波确实已经没有悬念了。
在 B 点门口的，
哎，这一针。
非点近点不可，坦克扛线的状态之下，
后面一个是热手，而且有温顿啊！这边我看到菲尔里斯做掩护，弗莱特的火箭弹幕直接洗脸。
完全没人。
Alrighty, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Achilleos and Wolf here, jumping on for the final 2 games of the evening. Coming up next, we have the Shanghai Dragons getting ready to go up against the Chengdu Hunters, but first, Wolf, man, what a first series to start the day off.
Yeah, I mean, we are just getting back-to-back amazing series here in Asia right now, the APAC region, as it's technically called. And, I mean, we had 2 great ones yesterday. We've already had 1 today. We've got 2 more potentially coming up this evening.
Yeah.
We had possibly the greatest game of regular season across both regions last night with that Hangzhou series. Hangzhou, failing to beat Guangzhou just previously, so that's kind of like in itself an exciting storyline is just how close all these teams are in Asia right now.
Yeah, neck and neck. I mean, Chengdu, though, yesterday, not looking so hot versus the London Spitfire. Now looking to bounce back, but they're going up against the top team in the region, the winners of the May Melee in the Shanghai Dragons. We'll go ahead and take a look at the starting 6 for the Chengdu Hunters first, however, and see what they're bringing to the plate today.
Yep, it's going to be, I know everyone's always excited to see Molly in the starting lineup. Molly will be with Eveltal on the support line. Among for Wrecking Ball, obviously, you're going to have him in. We did see A-Ting just briefly yesterday. Else is in, and then Jinmu and Leave, the standard DPS lineup that you're going to see. We did see Bacon Jack subbed in for Widowmaker later on in the series, but
amongst other things.
Yeah, amongst other things.
Let's not forget about the Reaper or the Ash.
Yeah, and
I'm having
Junkertown is in the
flashbacks.
pool. Junkertown's in the pool. Blizzard World's in the pool for the series, so I think we will see him at some point. But going to the other side of things, the Shanghai Dragon starters. You guys might have seen on Twitter. Yeah, you might have seen on Twitter. Geguri is in. She is starting tonight. You've got Izayaki and Luffy still in. Li Jigan still recovering. And Fleta and Ding are the DPS lineup. So there's a lot of different possibilities that could mean in terms of that lineup. Maybe we could see Fleta on Pharah, Ding on Tracer, Fleta on Widow, Ding on Tracer is another option. There's so many ways they can run this DPS lineup in this meta right now.
Yeah, but with Geguri in the mix, I mean, typically when we saw her in the past last season for the Shanghai Dragons, it was constantly on the Diva play. Obviously, Diva removed from the meta right now because of the hero pool. So it seems like we're going back to the roots of Geguri's fame in that she's likely going to be playing Zarya, at least for a portion of the series while she's in, which is really exciting for those who might not remember or never knew about it. There was a lot of accusations surrounding Geguri when she first came onto the scene. People did not think that she was playing for real because her accuracy with the Zarya was so ridiculous. She was crushing people on the ladder. Yeah, her tracking was amazing. She had such high sensitivity that people just did not believe that it was real, and she had to go into a studio to prove that it was real, and that's a part of why she got picked up by the Rocks Orcas, then moved on to the Shanghai Dragons. So it's really exciting to see her back in, I was about to say on the stage, but yeah, here on the digital stage on YouTube, playing alongside these teammates after, being on the sidelines for a while. So I'm excited to see what Shanghai has prepared with her and Ding both coming back into play.
Yeah, Lijiang Tower is our first map for this series. So, you and I were speculating before the match when we got the roster submitted to us that perhaps we would be seeing the Zarya just because it's so strong on Lijiang Tower. It's so commonly seen on there right now.
Yeah.
I think there's certainly a really big chance that we do see that. And then, after win or lose, Geguri might be subbed out as we go into some of the deeper maps. Like, for example, Junkertown is not as popular. But one of the big questions we do have about Geguri right now is where is her Sigma power level, because we haven't seen her play the hero in professional play yet. We know, everyone knows how she does on stream and solo queue, etc. She's a very strong Sigma player. But how does that translate into pro play? That's the question that we might get answered here if she plays longer into this series. Chengdu Hunters, I think there's no way to sugarcoat this, really. Having a rough time right now in this region, and I think if there's a team you're going to try Geguri out on, it's this one.
Yeah, I mean, I can fully agree with that one. That, you know, Chengdu Hunters just yesterday, overall, kind of abysmal. It was a mix of that and London Spitfire really elevating their performance, really coming together with that cohesion that we had been previously lacking, you know, every time that they took to the stage. So let's see how things transpire now against the Chengdu Hunters, who really need to bounce back in such a massive way after yesterday. Try and reinstill some faith here in the fans.
So this lineup we're seeing right now with Shanghai Dragons is something that before I even noticed Gregory was in the lineup, I got really excited about seeing Fleta and Ding, because I thought, okay, you can put Fleta on the Tracer. Ding is a fantastic Pharah, perhaps the strongest Pharah player we had last year. Hard to argue that he's the best one this year because he hasn't played it very much, but yeah. This is the lineup you expect to see. Now, Gregory on the Wrecking Ball, not too crazy. And
well, that's crazy. Yeah, that's a crazy start. And I guess he self-damaged so much out the gate trying to go for the super jump that he actually finished himself off. So yeah. An early burn on the res there from Luffy to bring him back in, but hopefully they won't need that until the cooldown is ready to go. Fleta already finds an opening pick as Molly falls.
Gregory on this Wrecking Ball, you know, a lot of people thought Wrecking Ball would be a flex tank when it first released, so she's definitely got a lot of practice on this hero for basically since it came out, so yeah. I'm not too shocked by this.
Yeah, don't think that if we're going to see the Zarya, it's really going to come through in Command Center, would be the prime time for that pick.
Yeah, not great with Pharah if you're running a Pharah comp like this.
Yeah. But for now, already Chengdu Hunters trying to swing the fight back into their favor as Jinmu tries to kick that Pharmacy duo out of the sky. Molly will be able to find one half of it as Luffy gets sniped, and the flip comes through. So Shanghai only able to establish 15% so far.
All right, leave. Definitely got a little spot on Fleta there, but it does not stick around. Retreats. Near pick there. Fearless is going into the backline deep here alone. He has to use his barrier early, but now Gregory's going to join.
Yeah, it does come through. Fearless going to have to leap out, grabs that Mega Pack to keep himself sustained. Gregory just going to be rolling through back to the front. Building up nicely towards that minefield. Ding manages to find Jinmu, but Leave finds Fleta. Ding does get Yveltal before he can get a res off. He's notorious for being so sneaky with those, but does get shut down this time. Very nicely done. Pulse Bomb out from Leave, manages to find Izayaki. Fleta's back into the fight with one of his own, but Leave gets domed as Ding just drops in on top of him. Molly nearly gets sent off the map, but has nowhere to run, so will get taken down all the same. And this is just going to be another flip back into Shanghai's favor.
Yeah, really nice peel apart there of the Chengdu Hunters. Fearless's initial leap in looked a bit haphazard at first, but they were actually able to pull the tank line off the point when Gregory joined him, and then Ding got into the back line. Meanwhile, Yveltal is going to pick Luffy out of the sky somehow.
Yeah, he's been swapping over to the pistol, spamming people down. Now he's going to be looking for Ding, and he manages to find him the headshot. Will go ahead, take him out, so by himself dismantles that Pharmacy duo on the enemy team. Finishes off Izayaki as well, so is getting pretty bloodthirsty as a support. Will bring Leaf back into the fight, and Fearless will be taking a nap as that Primal Rage expires. Points still going to be held for Shanghai for a little bit longer. They're currently contesting this, trying to hold out as long as they possibly can. They barely take the lead over Chengdu Hunters, who now have the point flipped back into their favor. 48% moving up past Shanghai now.
Yep. Well, Shanghai Dragons have this barrage online. Same can be said, obviously, for Jinmu. That's going to be a really nice pick. It's a trade that favors the Chengdu Hunters because having a tank on the point when you have control is going to be much stronger than having that extra Tracer. And Ding's going to find an opportunity. He's looking to find an opportunity for this barrage to open this up.
Oh, but now he's got to be careful. The pocket healing is not coming through. He needs to get top back up, and it needs to happen rather soon here. They're trying to pistol him down from below. Healing will finally start coming in from Luffy as he pops that Valkyrie. Meanwhile, off screen we have Molly and Yveltal both getting eliminated, so no supports in the fight here for the Chengdu Hunters. We're trying to maintain control of the point. Minefield does just sway a lot of the members of the Shanghai Dragons from coming back in as Fleta nearly dashes his way off the map. Will be able to remain safe, but there's still a lot of damage being traded out here from the Chengdu Hunters, who are now approaching 99%. 94 still moving up. Shanghai, they have to get a foothold here soon. Pulse Bomb from Leave, not going to be able to find anything. Get the sleep here onto Gregory. Will pop the shielding just to try and roll out to safety, but gets body blocked there. On the exit by Among, will be able to survive for a little bit longer, but Fearless now has to leap out. Almost has that Primal Rage up, 13% away. Can he survive long enough to get the pop is going to be the question, and will that be enough to get the flip here back for the Shanghai Dragons? Ding comes in. Barrage still going to be held. Leaf dashing around, trying to keep himself safe. Izayaki going to be taken out of the fight as the Chengdu Hunters lose out on Elsa. Primal Rage now going to be used. Luffy gone, however, there's no support here for Shanghai. As they try and stay encroached on the point, Fearless just going to be batting people away as best as possible. He is all on his lonesome. Pulse Bomb comes through. He leaps up into the air to try and save Geggery. Manages to do so, but he does die in the process. Geggery now drops in the minefield, but it's the last thing she's going to be able to do, as the round will go ahead and close out 150%. Chengdu Hunters managed to get the first win on Lijiang.
I mean, a lot of this, too, is just Among's Wrecking Ball play, often taking risks to... for example, in that last fight where it looked like Shanghai was going to win it and they just never regained control of the point, was partially because Among decided to, even though it looked like it was going to be a losing fight, use his minefield there. He bought a ton of time. He was able to buy time for the rest of the team to come back. And we're going to watch some more Yveltal action, but you guys already saw this. Just to point out, I mean, Yveltal is helping win the Pharah duel, but that's what I was going to lead into. A lot of people are probably thinking, okay, Geggery's in. How good is her Wrecking Ball versus Voids? But it's really the DPS line that's struggling for Shanghai here. It's actually Yveltal, Jinmu, and Leave who are winning out super hard and making it so difficult for Shanghai Dragons to stay in these fights. You can't put the blame on Geggery or Fearless. The tank line is not having really too many problems. It's just that the DPS players in the Pharah lineup here for Chengdu is finding more success.
Yeah, Ding and Fleta gonna have to try and step up a bit here, looking for the poop off. Ding managed to find Molly, but Jinmu finds Izayaki, so an exchange on those Anas, but Shanghai Dragons still trade up as Leave will be eliminated. Jinmu pushes up into the face of Ding, trying to find that kill onto the enemy Pharah, is unable to do so. And Yveltal comes up with another clutch res, bringing the Tracer back in. Shanghai will find first cap again. See if they can hold it for a bit longer this time around.
Yeah, I mean, the real key here is, in this case, if Jinmu's going to take Ding out, that would have been massive. But the real key here is how much can the tank line do right now for Chengdu to break through. They're looking for Fearless.
Jinmu's still hunting for Ding, can't quite get him. They look for the boot, but he does not have the leap ready to go, so Fearless does get taken off the side of the map. Jinmu coming up clutch, finds another kill, but Shanghai Dragons winning out the fight overall, down on the ground. Jinmu does find Ding, but Leave is going to be gone again. Hovering rather low and really difficult to push into the point like this for the Pharah, so can't really try and contest yet. Now with the re-arrival of the tank, seems a little bit more likely, but the Pulse Bomb comes in, the headshots are there, and Elsa instantly gets dropped. Yveltal goes Battle Mercy yet again to take out Luffy. See if he can find another one. Looks like Izayaki might be getting chunked away at off screen.
Coming through the minefield, he gets it.
Yeah, just going to be placing that shield up to try and clear out some of these mines. You can see Izayaki, yep, sliver of HP with a nano boost here onto Jinmu. Does manage to finish him off. Mirage will come out to get rid of Fearless. Chengdu Hunters finally look for the flip here on Gardens. Rocket's going in, almost finds Fleta, but won't quite be able to nail it. They still haven't gotten this flip yet, so Shanghai Dragons continue to tick up, now approaching 75%.
Gary's minefield much better than Among's in terms of damage output here, and I think they're going to hold this for a bit longer, if not stabilize. Yveltal in a rough spot here. He's not getting away very easily. Yeah,
trying to escape, isn't able to do so. Fleta is there for the alley-oop scoop on the kill. Can't get the res off, but Luffy in a similar position will get taken down, but yet another Pulse Bomb delivery from Fleta results in Elsa falling. So twice in a row they managed to find that. Jinmu trying to get the heck out of there, but just doesn't have enough healing output from Molly at range to try and keep him sustained, but the res is going to be there all the same. So Yveltal will be bringing him back into the fight. Leave in the meantime as we hit 99% has that Pulse Bomb. He's looking for a target to use it on. Barrage going to be dropped in. This thing finishes him off with that fadeaway rocket, goes into the ultimate. Doesn't find anything with that, but they clean up the tank line. They clean up the more elusive members on the side of the Chengdu Hunters, and it's looking like Shanghai Dragons at the clapback here. Looking for that 100% closeout as Among will fall.
Yep, looks like they're going to grab it. There's just no way for the Chengdu Hunters to fight through this. And this is the other side of the coin for Among's aggressive wrecking. Sometimes trying to come in and almost blow Fearless up. He comes in and everyone focuses Fearless. He looks for the headshots on Fearless, and Fearless goes low, but then Fearless escapes. And when you don't have control of the point and you try to make a move like that, and you commit all of your resources onto Fearless, and he just gets healed by Izayaki, then leaps away. Fearless survives and he just comes back, but then you, as the Wrecking Ball, you don't have your grapple anymore, you can't get away. And sure, Among survived a lot of those moments, but he didn't get to come back onto the point right away, whereas Fearless oftentimes did. And it's weird to compare a Wrecking Ball to a Winston in a lot of these moments, but Among's aggressive nature certainly came back to bite him, I think, on that second round. Now, here's what we thought we'd see for sure. There's Zarya, right? But it's not going to happen. It's just going to be the same composition here for Shanghai Dragons. Chengdu's the one that's changing it up here, running the Mei Reaper.
Yeah, and Ding, of course, still going to be sticking through with this Pharah. Looks for the knockoff, and he manages to find Jinmu. So still coming up clutch. We'll get rid of that immortality field just in case anybody feels inclined to kite back out onto the walkway. But I think after getting one person booped off, they don't really want to go back outside. A little bit too treacherous for them. As you can see, not quite going to be able to find the knockoff here onto Elsa, but he's just getting pelted with rockets. But Yebeltal comes up with 2, killing him off with the right click. Not sending him off the map, but just finding the kills. Either way, great play from him. So Chengdu Hunters this time looking to be the first ones to get the lockdown, and they will.
All right, let's see how Fearless and Geggery approach this now, because if they stick with the Wrecking Ball and the Winston here, they're going to have a lot of issues getting through the damage output that Chengdu is going to have around this corner. Like, you're going to take so much damage on your way in that oftentimes you kind of just have to speed past and try to back cap with the Wrecking Ball. It's a tough call. I mean, they do sneak around the side here. So they do actually get onto the point for just a moment.
Ding nearly has that barrage. Hunting for a kill here onto the Reaper. Barrier going to be keeping him alive for a little bit longer. They get the halt in onto Ding. They're trying to focus fire him down. The pocket healing from Luffy, however, is a bit too much. They can't find that kill, but Yebeltal finds a boop off there onto Izayaki. Fearless just now going to be respawning.
Yeah, the first 2 to die in that fight. Fearless and Geggery, man. I mean, Veltal is just out for blood tonight, but Fearless and Geggery both die to leave. He's now got a Death Blossom. He's focusing down the tanks. That's his role. That's his job here when you're dealing with, you know, it's essentially 2 main tanks crashing into the point like that. Even if they avoided the choke point, they still have to touch the point. And that's where they're really going to struggle against that Reaper. This is a great composition for the map.
Oh, up into the air at the center of the point again is the Pharmacy duo. Nano Boost going to be used. Molly already gone. Barrage going to be dropped in, and Among just does not stand a chance, nor does anybody else in Ding's path. He cuts them down one after the other. Looks for the finishing blow there on the leave. Will not be able to find it, but the flip will be coming through for the Shanghai Dragons right as Chengdu hit 80%.
No one's safe, not even the Bongos. Very great way to open things up. Now they have the tank ultimates to help control the chokes. So they don't have the same sort of choke point control that Chengdu did with their Reaper, but they have the ability to buy a lot of time and gain some space with that minefield. And it would be huge if they could get a hook into one of these tanks and blow them up. Chengdu could, and set up for that Death Blossom. That's the ideal scenario here to just close this map out if you're Chengdu.
Dropping down here from Fleta, trying to stave off leave. That's going to be a shatter coming in. Doesn't manage to catch anybody on the side of the Shanghai Dragons. Hook in onto Ding, but will be safe. Yebeltal finds another knockoff onto Izayaki. Why is he playing on the walkway? This is just going to keep happening time and time again. Fearless into the back line with the Primal Rage. It's not enough for him to try and stay alive. Will get taken down. Fleta finds Molly, however, and Ding gets rid of Among. Looking for the knockoff. Yebeltal this time finds an opponent a little bit more tricky to send off the side of the map, so Geggery is able to swing her way back in onto the point. Death Blossom will get rid of Ding. Now Luffy going to be gone as well. Chengdu Hunters hungry for this flip. Just need to clear off a couple extra people in order to have it. Fearless being one of them. He'll drop down off that top platform. Tries to exit with the leap. Will not be allowed to do so. Hook in. Secures Geggery's death. And that will be the flip here. 66% accrued for Shanghai Dragons on that take, but Chengdu Hunters so very close now to closing this out.
Yeah, Shanghai have a chance to end this if they can get a good barrage. Remember, this is how they took the point back in the first place. If Ding can find that angle, which is so difficult to do, huge that Izayaki survived there, but he does go down, and now they don't have the nano boost. This is looking rougher and rougher all the time. They need this barrage to be big, but he doesn't have the angle.
He's also got so many ways to get taken out of that one. Whether it's Molly rejoining with a sleep dart, the hook coming through, or just getting focus fired by the enemy team. Leave trying to TP out will be allowed to do so. Fearless taken down, but Ding does manage to hunt the Reaper. Pushed
Nano
against the wall by the
through.
whole hog. Yeah, the Nano coming out just to help him survive that ultimate. Barrage likely to be used here onto Among. Yes, it will. Sleep dart to set it up to guarantee the kill. Barrage will get a little bit of extra damage there onto Elsa. He'll get the finishing blow onto the Roadhog, but it does cost him his life. Luffy, can he get a res? He might be trying to do so. Not quite sure of the cooldown on that. See Jinmu just skirting around the fight. Chengdu Hunters have to let this go, reset, go for one final fight.
And because he doesn't have the res, he doesn't appear to have the res here, and Ding has to come back, there's actually a really small window of time here where Hunters can actually try to force a really strong fight. Among's on the high ground here, on the platform. They do spot him out. Yeah, they know where he is, so that's not going to be that element of surprise anymore. But Hunters definitely have the superior ultimates here, and that staying power with the sound barrier.
Not taking so much damage. The sound barrier will save him. Was almost certainly going to get picked off there. Izayaki in a corner. Bionades to try to keep himself alive. Death Blossom now going to be coming through the boop. Their push over to the side will be all right, but they still managed to lose out on 2 members here. Pulse Bomb comes through. Fearless has to pop the Primal Rage in response to keep himself in the mix. Falls low, trying to stay up as best as he can, but this is looking really dire now for the Shanghai Dragons. Fearless manages to find 1. They need a lot more than that. Now he's going to be taken out. The flip comes through. Chengdu Hunters with the OT bleeding away. Might be able to close this one out as Geggery does fall. Tags in for a moment, and they cannot get the Reaper on point. So Chengdu Hunters will be able to draw first blood, taking Lijiang Tower 2-1.
Yeah, I really like the composition they're running there on our final round. Control Tower, that's the comp that you expect to see, right, with the Reaper, the tank bust ability, and Shanghai Dragons just adapting a little bit too late there. They wanted to run the Pharah, and that's why Ding's in.
Yeah.
And that's obviously his strongest hero next to Sombra. Which is obviously not in the hero pool right now, so not playable. And when you put a player like Ding in who's got 2 really strong specialty heroes and you can only play one of them, you do set yourself up for kind of a predictable composition. But it wasn't like, it was predictable in the way that Hunters could be like, aha, it's the Pharah, I'm just going to run McCree and I'm going to counter you. It was just more so that they didn't really have options, and then the Reaper was too much for them, and they didn't really, Ding's wheelhouse doesn't really include Reaper. He has played it before, but it's not one of his strong points. So I think that's part of the real problem, is they just had a composition mismatch. Not to mention Yveltal knocking people off the side non-stop.
Yeah.
Guy's crazy.
Yeah, he was crushing. So Yveltal trying to surge forward, get that early consideration for player of the match, perhaps, if Chengdu can take this one home. But really strong opening for Chengdu, looking a lot better, a lot more put together from what we just saw from them yesterday. We'll see how Shanghai Dragons wants to change things around, alternate the comp probably a little bit. I think maybe not shoehorning them into having to run the Pharah with Ding is going to be one of the things that we see changed up as we get ready to come back in for map number 2. We'll have to just wait and see, though. We will be going to a quick break, and when we come back, we'll see if Shanghai can tie up the series.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League. The Overwatch League is brought to you by Pringles Wavy. Big crunch, big flavor.
Alrighty, welcome back. We are just one map into this series between the Chengdu Hunters and the Shanghai Dragons. We might have thought coming into this, especially given both teams' performances as of late, that it would be very one-sided off the start, but Chengdu Hunters are able to go ahead and take the first map of Lijiang Tower. Now the onus is on Shanghai Dragons to try and tie things up, Wolf.
Yeah, I mean, we saw a lot of Pharah there, and it was mixed results. Obviously, it's two of the best Pharah players that we have in the Overwatch League. I mean, some of the most iconic Pharah players clashing against each other. We had Geguri in as well. Remember, Lee Jae Gon is still out for the time being for some health issues, so when he comes back, I think we'll see a little bit more of that old Shanghai Dragon magic. Not that Luffy is a bad player or anything. Actually, one of my favorite players that I feel like people should know more about, but I digress. This is not the same Shanghai Dragons that won the Melee, is what I'm really getting at here. And they've made some changes. They've put Geguri in, which she was great on the Wrecking Ball, I thought. She wasn't really the big problem there. But yeah, there was some issues with the composition, and I think not running the Reaper there at the end until the very last minute is really what hurt them. But we'll see if we have some substitutions as we head into our second map of Junkertown. This is where you expect to see Bacon Jack come in. You expect to see that Widow duel with Fleta. And I think that's what a lot of people are looking forward to for this series.
With Fleta, I think you mean DM, good sir.
Well, yeah, I mean, it could be either way, I suppose.
We'll have to wait and see when we hop in what exactly the composition is going to look like, what changes, if any, that either of these teams have decided to make, and then see what the results are going to be. Either way, Chengdu Hunters, again, they look a lot more well put together compared to just yesterday. So already vast improvements in that regard. But we saw yesterday Yebeltal go out after map 1. Langza comes in. Is that going to be the case this time around? Are we going to be seeing Bacon Jack? It seems pretty much certain that it will be Bacon Jack and DM coming through for Shanghai Dragons, given that it's Junkertown. As you're already talking about, that Widowmaker duel is going to have to be so very important. And it's one that Chengdu Hunters kind of flopped on yesterday on that very same map. So we'll see if Bacon Jack is able to get into the groove a little bit more, because if it is in fact going to be DM that he's going up against, that's pretty much like, the toughest opponent that you could potentially pick.
Yeah, and DM's playstyle is extremely different from Babel's, which is the Widowmaker he faced yesterday on Junkertown. And Babel is
a lot more aggressive.
Babel is showing a lot more respect and playing a lot safer, which I think caught Bacon Jack off guard a few times there. So we got some crazy IDs in China, so
we do.
Anyways, going back into this, now that we're in game, we can see that it is DM. So if you're gonna run the Widow Tracer, you definitely want to have DM on the Widow and have Fleta on Tracer. So that's kind of like the the standard set. But there were other options as well. DM also a good Hangzhou player. We've seen a little bit more Hangzhou kind of into the meta right now. So there's a lot of different ways to look at how Shanghai could have played this, but it looks like they want to play just straight up meta. And it's harder to go against the meta on this map than other maps, just because it's such a Widow heavy map. And Chengdu Hunters, I mean, they're gonna be running the same thing, and we'll see if Bacon Jack can find better success here tonight.
Yeah, so we do have Bacon Jack in, Langza in, DM in for Ding, Void in for Geguri. So a couple changes from both of the teams. Shanghai Dragon coach doesn't even want to watch it. He says, you know what, DM on Widowmaker, I already know how this is going to go, so I'll just bounce out of this.
Yeah, you don't need to watch. Honestly, if you've got any young children in the room, they probably tell them to look away.
They should not be. Yeah, this is 18 or older stream now.
DM, strongest Widowmaker player in Overwatch League last year. I think there was some like arguments for Happy, but I mean, he was 1v1 champion, etc., etc. Incredible Widowmaker player, and Bacon Jack, has good Widowmaker player in his own right, but see how he does toe-to-toe here. I'd love to get a shot of where Bacon Jack is positioned right now on the defense, because that actually determines a lot. We're watching Tracers on their flank angles.
Okay, well, Fleta already going to be forced to use that recall and just has to dip, rejoin in with the rest of his team, leave in the meantime. Finds DM, takes him down. And that could be one of the... That's maybe the most effective way to win the Widowmaker duel, is to just not participate and have your Tracer just assassinate the enemy Widow.
Yeah.
Bacon Jack going to be looking for the pop shot on the respawn. Sees him, so knows roughly where DM is going to be, but the Poison Trap actually hit Fleta.
Yeah, Bacon Jack gets the kill here. I mean, this is a setup where if you just play as Bacon Jack is and let, Leave do the hard work and threaten positional mistakes, it's very easy to only make headshots, right? Yep. Well, not so much onto a Tracer, but onto the enemy Widow.
A little bit of pressure applied there from Fleta. But Bacon Jack, he has the rest of the team collapse around him, so stays safe. They haven't been able to break his position yet. Getting up into the face now of Elsa, trying to get rid of that enemy Sigma, but a lot of damage goes out on the Fearless. He receives that Discord Orb for a little bit. Goes back onto him now. Shanghai Dragons, though, creating a decent amount of space and keeping Chengdu contained over towards this side room so the cart can actually advance forward into a little bit more of an open area and make things a little bit riskier for Bacon Jack to try to go for a pick. You can see right there, he pokes his head out, doesn't get tagged. Fleta trying to bring things back, though, as they lose out on 2 members. Pulse Bomb finds Molly, now he'll find a third as Hangzhou will fall. Tries to get that kill there onto Among. If it wasn't for Bacon Jack, in all likelihood, he would have had it.
Yeah, really close call there. Bacon Jack's still alive. Forces the trance, yeah. This is actually kind of insane. I think they would do well not to contest, but they have the option here because they're so nearby, and it looks like they may just do it. Here's the barrier going up. They are going to touch one more time. Going to get denied by Void, but they wanted to contest, and actually Trance allows them.
And Trance has come through. Now the Flux is going to be out. Void, don't think he's going to be able to survive this one. No, Immortality Field will keep him alive. Card actually rolls through despite the fight starting to go the way of the Chengdu Hunters. Leaf will find Void after Izayaki falls. Leaf comes up with another one, as Fearless will die. And it is just a bloodbath here as the cart glided into A little bit under the noses of the Chengdu Hunters.
This is some Chinese Overwatch we're watching right now, Kilios.
It is.
I mean, look, the contest, if you win the fight there, even if the cart does roll through, you still feel pretty good about it, but they lost the fight and the cart went through, even though they barely lost the fight. So this allows Shanghai Dragons to get through this area of the map pretty uncontested. It also allows DM to have sightline control, so if you're Bacon Jack right now, you're really frustrated with how that went because you're basically useless for a few seconds here. That's why you could see Chengdu Hunters are not even going to set up for the outside of B contest. They're like all the way on the other side here inside.
Oh, a stick come through there from Leave on the Pulse Bomb, but doesn't result in any kills. Pulse from Fleta just going to be getting rid of the Immortality Field from Langza. Izayaki got picked off, so that is going to slow the roll of the Shanghai Dragons. Especially now that the others are joining him in the grave.
Yep, might be able to
under a little bit of pressure.
Jack.
He's got the Orb of Harmony, though. Recall forced out, so now this is increasingly worrisome for Fleta. He's got nowhere to turn to. Cannot finish him off, so just gets a swift elbow to the chin.
Yep. Doesn't even get that trade there. This is incredibly good for the Chengdu Hunters because, remember, just moments ago, they were on the inside of the tunnel towards C, not even willing to try to take a straight-up team fight here because they had such a line-of-sight disadvantage. To wrestle that back is an incredible feat, and now they have this site advantage. Now, with the ultimate coming out here for DM, that's going to give them at least that information about where Leave and Bacon Jack are, so they can move in safer, but it's not an easy approach here for Shanghai.
It is not. They're trying to push in. Take this high ground side room here. Bacon Jack just going to be hopping up, has the Infrasight rolling. Knows where DM is at. It's waiting for him to drop down. Instead, we'll just push around the corner. Says, okay, I'll just kill you there. Gets Fearless as well for the double. And Bacon Jack is looking significantly better than yesterday. And this is back to his form that we saw from him last year.
And that's not, I mean, the thing is, like, I don't even want to, like, put it on his form. Like, it's not even fair. Like, right, he has Infrasight, he has line of sight advantage, he knows exactly where DM is. DM's on a swap. But this is exactly why Hunters didn't even try to contest here earlier, because they knew they had line of sight disadvantage, and the Shanghai Dragons don't have a choice. They're on attack, so they have to approach, they have to try to fight there. And you can see just how badly it goes for you, especially when Bacon Jack has the second Infrasight there and has all that information. It's just almost impossible, it feels like. You don't want to, you know, use Izayaki's trance to try to approach the point, but you might, at some point, have no choice because time is ticking down and you're less than 60 seconds here on Junkertown. This is a really unfortunate place to be if you're Shanghai Dragons.
Yeah. You want Fleta to pull off the deadlift on his own. You don't want to put Fleta in a position where he has to do the deadlift or else you lose. That's unfortunately kind of where things have been so far. Flooded goes in, gets rid of Bacon Jack. That's a ton of pressure now alleviated for the rest of the Shanghai Dragons. Pulse Bomb out from him will find Elsa. He'll follow up for Among. So takes down both tanks.
Caster Blessing.
Looking for the kills here on the enemy supports. Molly will fall. DM starting to get some kills now. They have swapped over onto the Ashe. And that will be point B snatched up here for Shanghai Dragons, but the time bank is very weak, and we have seen how much teams are getting slowed down in this final stretch of Junkertown as of late. So getting to the end with just a minute 40 is going to be really difficult.
They have DM still on the Ashe, so you know, it's not like a great position for Shanghai Dragons in terms of controlling the sniper battle. But they actually get up here on the high ground. Barriers are up, so Bacon Jack kind of stuck at the moment. So that's a good sign here for Shanghai from the outset of the C push.
They give up on that underpass bunker. So this allows for the cart to move up a considerable amount here for Shanghai. No one on it at the moment, though. As Leaf plays around the flanks, moves up to the high ground. Here the flux coming through from Elsa, manages to catch Void here solo, slams him back down. Immortality Field will keep him alive.
They're just stalling right now. The Chengdu Hunters are doing a great job of stalling.
Yeah, cart's just now starting to advance yet again. Bacon Jack finds a pick as Void will fall. Mortality Field gone though. Luffy will be able to clean up Leaf. Pushing forward, the stick comes in. That's going to be Langza down. Didn't have a way to save himself. But is that going to be enough to open things? The Tracer now going to be rejoining the fight. The Infrasite's still going to be rolling for Bacon Jack, so he's got eyes on everybody. Fleta, despite that, still pushing forward fearlessly to try and come up with that kill. Instead, we'll find Leaf. Peels back, focuses over towards the cart now. Dynamite up over the top. DM does have the bomb ready to go, but now Fearless going to be gone. Void falling as well. There's no time for a final reset. They're likely going to have to bomb the cart just to try to buy some time for the rest of the tanks to rejoin. Maybe a swap even over onto Wrecking Ball. Yeah, Fearless is going to be swapping onto that, but DM does get picked off. Void's going to be sticking through with the Sigma because he nearly has that Graphitic Flux, but they have to tag this cart. Somebody's got to get there right now. There we go. Rolling in from the left side of the screen. Fearless does manage to get that tag just in time. But now can they make the fight work? Lee finds a pick off onto Fleta. Izayaki rolling through with the Transcendence just to try to get everybody else escorted over towards the card. You see Luffy looking for that setup here on the high ground with the Amp Matrix. Placed for a moment by Leaf, who comes back down, looks for the pulse stick, doesn't find it, but still gets the explosive damage onto DM. Now Luffy going to be gone as well. It's just Fearless and Fleta versus the world, but neither of them can get to the cart. So they will be halted just in front of point C.
It was a pretty good push for Shanghai Dragons despite not finishing the map. You know, you mentioned it earlier, there's a lot of stall tactics that go into C, and it was pretty unlikely they're going to finish the map in general after having such a weak time bank, but they pushed it pretty far, and they made the most of that weak time bank. That final push that Fleta had them succeed through B with, where you were talking about how he might have to deadlift. You don't want it to be that way, but he does, right? And he does pop off because they were able to go through the tunnels and avoid sight lines for Bacon Jack. So really nice plays and rotations from Shanghai Dragons, understanding their win condition going through there. And then C was obviously going to be a pretty rough spot, but they even made the most of that. If they have a pretty solid defense here, Shanghai Dragons can take this map and turn it around. I think a lot of times, if you're watching Overwatch, you know, if you're a fan at home, you think, well, they didn't finish the map. That looks so bad for them. Like, they're in trouble. It's not always like that. I mean, now we're looking at a situation where DM has sightline advantage on Widowmaker versus Bacon Jack. He's the historically better Widowmaker player. You've got Fleta, who's finding value in the backline. This looks like a really ideal situation for the players that Shanghai Dragons have chosen to bring to Junkertown. And I look at this situation, even though they finished the map, as a pretty favorable one for Shanghai Dragons, all things considered. This is going to be a tough A push for the Chengdu Hunters. Bacon Jack is really going to have to show his skills here to get that time they need.
We'll see if you gave him a blessing or a curse. Holt not going to be able to find anything. Bacon Jack just going to break off to the... Oh, nope. Okay, wraps back around. Maybe he was going to go for the stock standard left side flank instead of playing behind the cart.
He's just breaking barriers right now.
Yeah, taking shots. All of Shanghai, for the most part, is playing back around corners. Holt comes through, and that is the setup that they needed. Shot in with Among's damage, and Fearless falls. No way to bring him back into the fight, and a very slow run back for him. Means that this could just be point A.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, he's going to swap to the Wrecking Ball straight off the bat here.
Yeah, he has to. They really need to rush back here if they want to have any chance of contesting this.
Rolls through, displaces a good amount Yeah, knocks through multiple members, but the Discord Orb comes through onto him. He doesn't have the shielding up, so will still get picked off. Fled in the meantime manages to find Among. Izayaki under a little bit of fire will be finished off by Bacon Jack. The Discord Orbs from Molly really helping out with that one, and Molly finishes off DM, and yeah, now it's going to be point A. Fearless has already swapped back over onto the Orisa. So what little alt charge he did have now going to be sacrificed, so Among will be in a lead for a supercharger.
Yeah. And, I mean, look, Bacon Jack just made the decision. I'm not going to duel DM when he has side advantage. I don't know where he is. I'm just going to... You notice how when he was shooting the shield, too, he was poking carefully? Because every time he shot that shield, he put himself at risk of getting killed by DM. And then eventually, when the barrier was down, he made that one headshot onto Fearless. And that's all it took for the rest of the Hunters to collapse in and get that Orisa kill so they could then further push the point. It's actually insane how just one kill can get you A on Junkertown. And now they got it in such a timing, too, that they kind of get this high ground because Shanghai did contest. So this is a fantastic push for the Chengdu Hunters.
Getting the accretion there. Immortality Field has to be finished off. Immortality Field, speaking of which, Leaf gets rid of that with a Pulse Bomb and gets rid of Void. He's looking for Fearless as well, who's trying to desperately kite his way back, but just cannot move fast enough. He's still playing up into their faces, but with the Discord Orb thrown onto him, yeah, he will just get melted down.
Molly with an unusual Transcendence timing there. I'm not really sure about that one.
Maybe it's BM. I don't know.
I mean, they're that
like
ahead.
around the back, so maybe Fleta was threatening him, so he felt the need to pop the Transcendence.
Yeah, we need a replay
here.
But look, Shanghai just have to let this go. Like this is what we were talking about in the previous defense for the Hunters, where they almost let it go because they were like, "Well, I just can't fight this. There's just no way." I think that's if he did do it for BM, which I doubt he did, but it's one of those moments where I'm like, "Yeah, there is nothing Shanghai could do literally," and so the chance is just kind of funny in that regard. But I think it was just an accident or a desperate moment, like you were talking about. Either way, Chengdu Hunters get control of that, get the free push around this corner is what they're looking for. If they get that, I mean, they have almost too much time for this to fail.
Leave duking it out there with Fleta in the hallway. DM will find one, but Bacon Jack finds DM. And with 5 minutes to cut through, this looks so difficult for the Shanghai Dragons. Bacon Jack finds another one as Void falls. Leave continues to just play forward along the cart. Even with the halt in, no follow-up set for it. The halt, however, out from Among has the setup for Bacon Jack to find yet another pick off as Izayaki will fall. Fleta into the back, does manage to find one. DM will get two. So maybe some stability to be had here for Shanghai Dragons in the final hour. Cart's still inching forward. They finally contest this one as they look for the cleanup, and they will have it. But look how close it is with 4 minutes, 19 seconds remaining.
He waited so long for his perfect moment. He gets a headshot kill onto Leave, drops the pulse bomb in, and then kills every single member on the Chengdu Hunters. Waited for the perfect chance, waited for the perfect moment, and it paid off big time. And now they could start to really recontrol this high ground. And this is going to be the first time the Hunters really struggle since the A attack started to try to gain that site advantage. DM is on the Ash, so that's a boon for Bacon Jack. He doesn't have to worry about that one at least. I mean, he can die to the Ash, but it's much more difficult for the Ash to kill a Widow in this situation.
Have to get the 2-tap. Yeah. Falls low, and there you have it. On the
there you go.
Drop down, does get picked. The headshot comes in from DM. Dragging it back in here onto Lengza. He'll try to dip behind the barrier, but the shields just don't last long enough. Fearless falling low, trying to kite back and forth. Can they keep him sustained? The answer is yes, they can. He'll clean up a couple kills, and Shanghai Dragons, they drain a little bit more off the clock, but there was still 3:15 left to go through.
Yeah, I mean, it was a 1-2 punch for the A and B caps, so they basically got those for two team fights, two really easy team fights for the Chengdu Hunters. The opening pick and then the sightline advantage they had on B. But now Shanghai's kind of taken that away from them here on C. They've wrestled back control, and the time bank almost feels too big to fail, but if Shanghai just keeps playing this consistently with DM on the Ash and Fleta getting these backline picks, I mean, it is a winnable game here for Shanghai Dragons, even though it looked impossible just moments ago.
Leave is in the back, Void. Currently using, oh boy, Bacon Jack finds a shot of the Izayaki now. But yeah, the Flux, not able to find anything here for Shanghai. Now with DM gone, things are starting to look a lot more rough for Shanghai. Accretion goes in, Luffy gonna be taken out, can't use that amp. Matrix to cart, pushing forward. Fearless, the one who had to stand on top of it, does get eliminated, as does Void on the sidelines. And this is looking like it's just going to be a glide through now for the Chengdu Hunters, and it is. Shanghai They drain a decent amount of time, but they cannot stop the card. Chengdu Hunters, like a wave crashing into them time and time again, erode away the Shanghai Dragons, and they get that victory. Now up 2-0, in pole position to sweep Shanghai, the winners of our melee.
I mean, it would be the most Chengdu thing ever to just beat Shanghai like this, 3-0 them after getting crushed yesterday, by the way.
I mean, they are the Robin Hood. They are the Robin Hood of the Overwatch League, especially at least for the APAC region. Beat the top teams, lose to the bottom ones. It's just
rob the rich to feed the poor. That's such a Chengdu thing. It's actually so. Oh my God! Actually, it's so true. It's actually such a great analogy. I don't know if you came up with that, if someone said that before, but I love to have that in my brain now.
It's an old Jin Air reference. But man, what a start for Chengdu Hunters. I mean, there's a lot to talk about here. So rather than get into it here, we've got a game break coming up. So we'll go into a deeper dive when we come back after the break for the halftime show. So stay put, guys. We'll be back in just a few.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile. Switch today and rank up to America's largest 5G network, T-Mobile. And by State Farm. For auto, home, or renters insurance, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Alrighty, welcome back, guys. It's time for our game break presented by Cheez-It Grooves, and we can kind of look over the first two maps of the series here, because it's not at all what I think either of us anticipated, Wolf. Probably not what anybody watching right now had anticipated.
Yeah,
things are weird. We're in the Twilight Zone right now.
And when you give me the cue, the keys to the
keys to the kingdom. All right.
Keys to the kingdom, if you will.
Let's open up the kingdom of the Cheez-It Grooves Crunch Time and see what you have to say.
The keys to the crunch time. Whenever Achilles gives me the keys to the crunch time, that's when I can break it down. But yeah, I think Shanghai didn't get to play the game they wanted the first two maps of the series, and they might not get many more maps in the series if they can't turn things around here. But I think a lot of people might be going like, "Wow, Shanghai sucks today, man." But that's not what's going on. And Chengdu didn't magically get like way better between yesterday and tonight either. Chengdu came with basically the same thing they did yesterday. And Shanghai prepared the Pharah strategy, which didn't work very well on Zhong. They were playing with Geguri, and she didn't play badly or anything like that, but it didn't feel like they were as robust with that as what we saw from them on Junkertown. Speaking of Junkertown, you think about the Widow v. Widow that we were talking about, we were hyping up. We just didn't get to see it. It just didn't happen because especially there on the secondary push, the follow-up push for Chengdu Hunters, Bacon Jack just killed Fearless. And then that was A, and then B, DM didn't get to fight in a fair Widow v Widow. And Sightline advantages seem to always be in favor of Bacon Jack because of how Junkertown works. Like, sometimes it was honestly just a little bit unlucky for DM. It's not like Bacon Jack crushed him in a 1v1 or anything. It's not fair to say that. But in a lot of these moments, if you're a Shanghai fan, you're like, how is DM losing to Bacon Jack? Like, that's not right. Like, we've got DM in, and we're struggling on Junkertown. What's happening on Lijiang? You know, why is this occurring? Why is Fleta not able to carry, even though Fleta's playing so well? As a Shanghai's just not getting to play the game they prepared. And, I mean, it could get worse from here for them even if things continue. But I feel like it's just Bacon Jack played smart. He made a few picks. Hunters didn't. Like, when they were ahead, they didn't make big mistakes. They just played safe. They played around sight lines. And DM didn't get to play his game. He was on Ashe a lot of the time because he was like, well, I just can't straight up sniper duel anymore with the Widowmaker. Widow v Widow, I can't do it. I have to try to do something a little bit more useful for my team, a little bit more well-rounded. I need a Bob. I need some more utility. I need Dynamite. So he had to swap and didn't have that same impact.
He didn't. I mean, I will say it does seem like DM is playing a little bit under where we had anticipated. You know, like you said, there's not so much been that 1v1 matchup between he and Bacon Jack. From memory, there was only, you know, like a couple kills realistically that he had gotten on DM. But Bacon Jack's just assassinating so many people on the side of the Shanghai Dragons, and DM just hasn't been able to output the same level of impact that we're seeing from Bacon Jack. I think that overall, like, I think he is outperforming him just because DM is not getting himself into a position to actually capitalize and come up with the same picks that we're seeing from the Chengdu Hunters, and it just feels a little lopsided. I think coming out of this break, coming out of the half, we're probably going to see another change here for Shanghai with Lip coming in all likelihood.
I think it would be a pretty reasonable choice given what we're seeing so far. I mean, we had Ding for Pharah Specialist, right? Then we had DM for Widow Specialist. You bring Lip in, and you have a whole plethora of heroes you can play, including the Widowmaker. So, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we see Lip come through for DM, and Fleta will have to stay in, of course. He's going to stay on the Tracer.
Yeah.
Our next map...
Don't touch Fleta.
Yeah, our next map is Blizzard World, so I feel like you have to play Widowmaker here no matter what. Pharah is an option, but I feel like not as strong as Widowmaker here. Yesterday, we saw Blizzard World not be completely Widowmaker dominated, but I think we're going to see Chengdu Hunters keep Bacon Jack in. I don't know if we can assume that Lip is going to be subbed in, but I do agree that I think it might be time. It might be a good time to make that change.
It's a rough position to be in because you don't want to just have the roster be a revolving door of, this harsh words, but revolving door of failure where like everybody that you're putting in just isn't working out, and like if you put Lip in and then that doesn't work out because they get crushed by, you know, Bacon Jack's Widowmaker, if he's still in, then all the blame goes on to the coaching staff for putting Lip in and all this kind of stuff. It's a really tricky position for Shanghai Dragons when you're down 2-0 like this to make the right call. I agree that there's such an importance on having Widow in, but I think maybe having a more consistently performing player like Lip, who has more experience in the 2020 season, might be the better move. That's just conjecture. My prediction's that we're going to see Lip coming in. I have no knowledge whatsoever as to what's going on. I think that is probably the best play, but we'll have to see what Shanghai's going to do. That's it for our game break here and for our crunch time presented by Cheez-It Grooves. So thank you guys for tuning in for that bit, but we're going to come back after a quick break and have the rest of the series, see if Shanghai Dragons can give us a second reverse sweep of the day.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Cheez-It Grooves. Deep flavor, deep crunch. It's a mind crunch. The Overwatch League is brought to you by Zip Chair Gaming, the official chair supplier of the Overwatch League.
Is Tracer meta right now, or is Fleta meta?
He's a man of many talents. He looks like a lost schoolboy in the field being bullied for his shorts. But Fleta now moving over onto the Widowmaker, taking the clutch into his own hands. The headshot after headshot after headshot. Josh, I just screamed so much that the blood has rushed from my head and I almost fainted.
All right, welcome back. It is time to see the rest of this series between the Chengdu Hunters and the Shanghai Dragons, who are currently down 0-2. Chengdu Hunters looking to sweep the May Melee champions for the APAC region, and what a turnaround that would be, and such an unexpected victory as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Shanghai Dragons just are struggling to find their footing right now, and you could argue that part of that is because Lee Jae-gon is not on the roster, but I don't think you can really say, like, well, that's it. If he's not there, they just can't play well. I don't think you could go that far, but yeah, I mean, beyond that, then you had Geguri in. You know, it wasn't a perfect composition. They got a little bit countered on Control Tower, and then you go to the next map where a few critical moments for Bacon Jack just lead to, like, insane line-of-sight advantages, a great time bank. I mean, that's how Junkertown works when it's a Widow meta, as it is most of the time. And now we're heading into Blizzard World, where, you know, I think Widowmaker is still going to be quite strong. And you were predicting we were going to have a Lip substitution, and, well, you were right.
What can I say? Pred God over here. So, yeah, Lip is in, but we also have a change for the Chengdu Hunters, and that is going to be Aiting stepping in for Among. So we'll have that main tank change up. This didn't really deliver much for Chengdu yesterday versus London Spitfire. Everything was kind of just on fire for them on Blizzard World. You know, Bacon Jack, his Reaper. We had the new Bacon Blossom joke kind of come out of that for how long it took to build, and then when he used it, it was worthless. He sent his Bob off the side of the map, off the dock near point A. Given how we're seeing Bacon Jack perform right now, I don't think that those things are going to happen again. I don't think that the lightning is going to strike twice in the same spot for him. But we have to see how Lip is going to handle this. I'm sure that they are anticipating a sniper, obviously with Bacon Jack being in. So in all likelihood, they're ready for the Ashe, they're ready for the Widow. We see Lip already hovering the Widowmaker. We'll see if he wants to swap to Ashe to match once they see that, though.
I think he's going to look for some opening shots. If he gets a kill, then he'll probably stick with the Widow and they'll try to push it in. But if he doesn't, it's the TP snipe. If he doesn't, I think Ashe is a solid choice here because you have the Dynamite, you have a little bit of mobility too. I mean, Ashe is just a more well-rounded hero in general after the buff she's been given. Crazy to see, like, a hero who sees no play gets tiny changes and then suddenly becomes the most meta hit scan.
Sometimes you just need a minor quality of life fixes.
Yep.
Langza under some pressure, forced to use that Immortality Field on himself. We'll see that finish off, but Bacon Jack finds a headshot onto Lip, and Fleta is very chunked out, so can't really play up on the point yet. Steadily will get him topped up as the Dynamite comes down. Don't really get the hit on that one, though. Bacon Jack just playing forward. We'll have to kite back around the corner for now. Try to get repositioned and build up towards that Bob.
Gorilla super low. He's taken out. Nice chase there from Leave. Leave is actually fantastic. He's phenomenal at getting these chasing kills where someone gets low health and he just comes in and takes them out. Speaking of low health players, Lip's dead too, and falling apart.
Without the Immortality Field, Pulse likely there to find 3 kills for Fleta, but does get denied. Luffy going to be taken out, as is Bacon Jack, so they managed to find 1. Ziyaki under a lot of pressure, though, will fall to Leave. You can hear the Flux coming through from Void. Discord Orb goes onto him, and 18 just melts him down inside Snacks Ramus.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta say, I don't know if that Flux was really warranted. I mean, at least at the very end of the day, you could say he traded Transport. I think that was just a reflexive moment for Molly. He hasn't had the greatest transcendences tonight, but I think that, you know, when you hear that voice line, sometimes you think, okay, I better do this just to be safe. We've got control of the point. And you have that, like, twitch reaction of trancing immediately. But, you know, 2 ultimates down here, 1 apiece, but Chengdu Hunters still having the better ult economy. They have a Gravitic Flux themselves here. Shanghai struggling to approach.
And we'll see what comes first, the Immortality Field or the Transcendence. If they can just use the Immortality Field on the Flux, that would be huge. But Luffy has already used it. Here the Flux coming out now. Izayaki will pop the Trans, but Void is still going to get picked off. Not in a position to try to keep him alive. 18 falling low will get finished off. Luffy managing to find that kill. On the point right now are the Shanghai Dragons, so 1 tick going to be picked up as Chengdu Hunters get repositioned. They get the drop down very aggressively here in the front, and Molly just gets destroyed. The Bob sending his corpse flying up over the top into the lake, it would seem. Fearless trying to hang in there, just doesn't have enough HP, not enough healing output to try to keep him in the fight, so will be 60% gain on point A, but now down to 1 minute and 10 for the Shanghai Dragons with only a Pulse Bomb and a Supercharge.
Yeah, and it's crazy. Bacon Jack was the first to die, which meant that, you know, Elsa's Flux wasn't that great, and they weren't able to do too much, and they ended up losing the fight. But he comes back, they delay, and the second he gets back to the point, he picks up 2 kills, saves the day despite that early death. He's got a Bob, they're going to have a Transcendence, Matrix, Amp Matrix. I mean, this is...
Yeah.
Like you said, I mean, the Shanghai Dragons have, like, no tools. Flood is going to have to do the good old deadlift. He's going to have to get a multi-kill here. He's waiting for that perfect moment, which he always does.
Tries to get the 1 clip there on to leave. Takes him low, but Orb of Harmony in the Mega Pack means that he can stay in the fight. Supercharger not going to be finished off here for the side of the Chengdu Hunters quite yet. Pulse Bomb going to be coming out, but what's that Immortality Field to try to keep him alive? Transcendence now going to be used by Molly. Pushes up with the rest of the squad as they try to shove back the tides of the Shanghai Dragons. Bomb out, Bob out on the point means that Shanghai can't really poke too well, but Void wrapping around from behind. Managed to find Molly now. Bacon Jack going to be gone, so certainly a window of opportunity here for the Shanghai Dragons. Now with 18 eliminated as well, things look a bit more certain for them to go ahead and take point A. Dangerously close to full holding here, but they do manage to get it, so a 2.5 minute bump comes through in the time bank.
Yeah, very clutch fights here for Shanghai Dragons. Fled is doing so much for his team. Even though his Pulse Bomb timing was unfortunate there with the Immortality Field, he still did a lot of damage. He's just constantly threatening the back lines. And now, you know, if you're Chengdu Hunters, you had to use a lot of ults because you thought you were going to hold, and you kind of feel like you almost wasted them because of how things worked in the end. You know, hindsight is 20/20, obviously, of course, but now they can just back up here. But Shanghai Dragons have the ultimate economy advantage. And Liv's got nice sightlines.
Yeah, it's a good dynamite coming through from him. Gets a headshot on the Bacon Jack. Really good job occupying that high ground. Halt in. Gets the Flux. Liv can't get out of that in time, but the Transcendence is rolling from Izayaki to try to get him alive, and now they have the Ant Matrix thrown down. Forces Chengdu off that high ground and around the corner so the cart can continue to move up. Down a minute so far, the Shanghai Dragons as they get closer and closer to point B. Accretion stun not going to connect there onto Lip, but it seems like Lip having a bit of a question mark moment with the bomb. Sends him off the other side into the water, you would guess. And now we will have a pause.
Lip is like, you know what? He's like, my Bob went off the side. I'm not cool with that.
Yeah, Can we reset the map? My Bob went off. That's going to be a problem for me. But yeah, we have a pause. Of course, you and I are casting. We had this yesterday, so we'll naturally
kind of
we have to have one here. Seems like there might just be a connection issue. I can see that Ating has left the game, so probably have to just get him back in, and then we can continue. So we'll see what happens. For now, though, we get to go back to the A&W podcast. Yeah,
we're back on that one. We talked about pets yesterday.
We did. We talked about cats a lot.
Yeah. Any suggestions on topic for today? You know, I didn't really prep for this podcast today.
Well, obviously, like when we're working, this is kind of our work week is contained to the weekend. So, what are your weekend plans and quotations moving forward from tomorrow?
Well, I actually have a recording I'm doing, which I can't talk about just yet.
Your rap album finally coming out.
Yeah, you guys know it. That would be you, the rap god Achilles, who'd be making the rap album. But I've got a recording. I'm traveling tomorrow. Gotta wake up early.
Okay.
And what about you? Oh, I guess we're not going to find out about you because the game's starting.
Well, everybody's saying ready, so it's okay. Maybe I'm fine to just go ahead and hop back into the game here. I don't have too many plans for tomorrow, though. You know, it's just going to be time to relax. Maybe do a raid in WoW Classic, like a Zolgarub or something like that. But otherwise, nothing too crazy planned for me. But here we go. Pause going to be coming off, and we can jump back into the action. We can see Elsa getting slammed to the ground as the Flux comes in from Void, but with 2 members gone on the side of Shanghai Dragons, there's not going to be enough follow-up. There's going to be another pause coming through.
No, I just sat down. I just got on my chair. I almost knocked my sound mixer off because I got back into my chair so quickly. I almost knocked my sound mixer off the table and my coffee. So I caught my coffee and the mixer and fixed everything. And the second I was good, they paused. And now that I'm telling this story, we're back in the game. So I got to go back in my chair.
Alrighty, well, sitting back down, and that is going to be a really nice hold in with the accretion to finish off Luffy on the exit. So good stagger kill here for the Chengdu Hunters. We can hear that call, 60 seconds remaining, and this is going to be Bob taking a nice dip.
Yeah. That probe's mining real hard, meanwhile.
Oh, it's actually, if Luffy didn't play well enough to kill Lengza, the Bob would have hit Lengza and then not gone into the water.
Yeah, that's one of those awkward moments where you're like, oh, could you have just messed that up a little bit?
I mean, he should not have thrown it on that angle anyway. Should have thrown it at the little merch stall that's chilling over there.
Bacon Jack's either way. He's got his Bob, and I think he's going to be hard-pressed to mess this one up here on the defense from high ground.
Well, that, and he would have to throw it the opposite way, away from the Shanghai Dragons to possibly screw it up. But
it's not going to
get much done.
Yeah.
It occupies him for a little bit. Flood, in the meantime, gets a pulse bomb out onto Bacon Jack. Falls a little bit low. Supercharger going to be rolling around the corner here for the Chengdu Hunters as we move down to 7 seconds remaining for Shanghai. Ant Matrix is out as well, making it very difficult for Shanghai to push up towards the cart. Leaf gets the Discord Orb, pops the recall. Fearless falls low, does get eliminated. Molly finds a hit onto Fleta. Now another onto Izayaki. Pulse bomb from Leaf. Not going to be able to find the kill, but he is zoning the Ash away from the cart, and they desperately need the tag, and they're just not going to be able to do it. A team kill comes through at the end, and the cart, it makes it pretty close to point B, but when you're down 0-2, about to get swept by a team that lost to the London Spitfire just yesterday in convincing fashion, getting close to point B is nowhere near good enough.
Yeah, it makes you wonder about London Spitfire's current power level as well a little bit, and they're going to be playing our next series against NYXL, so that was one of the series I was saying I was really looking forward to.
Yeah,
we get that.
We said yesterday we have to see them against a different team, and that will certainly be a good test for those guys. But for now, I mean, Shanghai Dragons, they are stumped.
They are not looking great at the moment, and when you're playing DPS roulette, you know, like you were kind of alluding to earlier, where you've got, you know, constantly a revolving door, as you called it, of DPSs coming through, and you know, you said fairly harshly of failure, but I mean, that is the results. We are looking at an 0-2 here for Shanghai Dragons. We're looking at a very weak push here, very weak attack on Blizzard World. Now you're looking at a defense where they're running Lip on Ash, Fleta on Tracer. Again, it's the standard, it's the meta. But when your push is that weak and you struggle to get A, you basically got A in overtime. If Chengdu Hunters get a first early attack here, first cap, you don't give yourself a lot of room to work with. And that's terrifying when you know exactly how vulnerable you are and you're down 0-2. Even that mentality-wise can mess with how you're playing. It can sometimes even change the comps you run, but Shanghai's going to hold firm with this Ash Tracer. Chengdu is going to scout this out. Bacon Jack, going to swap off the Hangzhou. I mean, the Hangzhou's not terrible here, but probably not what you want. And it's going to be a mirror matchup.
Not looking for anything, but he'll stay protected. They at least get to see the avenue of approach overall for the Chengdu Hunters. As Leave goes on a deep flank through the Griffin ride.
I hate it when that Griffin's in my way when I'm trying to come out of this choke point, though. I get so mad.
Something about your complaint about elevators and all that kind of stuff from the past.
Fleta's actually, it looks like he wanted to maybe try to flank there, but doesn't decide to take the risk. But look at where Hunters have actually gotten. They've kind of gotten behind the point. If they get up on this high ground, this becomes an extremely powerful position for them.
Good dynamite there from Bacon Jack. Burns him down a little bit. Chengdu Hunters now pushed in behind the point. Bacon Jack will be able to find one at the cost of Langs and now Molly, so with no supports, you would expect Shanghai Dragons to be able to clean up the rest of the members here.
Yeah, it's no contest. Bacon Jack's not even trying to live here. He's just like, all right, it's time to reset. This is actually a great start for the Shanghai Dragons.
I mean, the longer they live.
Yeah, go ahead. Well, I mean,
the longer that A-Ting and them live, the worse this is going to be for them. So
exactly. But it's also like, you know, you took a really big risk, right? You tried to go behind the point. You were hoping you were getting on the high ground, and then you end up failing, and then you fail even harder when that fails, right? It's extremely risky because then you get cut off and then you get staggered back there. And it's just, I mean, there's no way you're going to reunite with the rest of your team. So Shanghai already massively depleting that time bank. So it's feeling more and more winnable here. If they could win another fight like that, I don't think Chengdu is going to wrap around as hard. This time they're going to go take a more direct path.
Have to be careful, though. Ults are coming online for Shanghai. At Matrix, the Flux are there. Izayaki and Molly, though, pretty toe-to-toe as far as the Transcendence timing is going to be concerned. Double window coming out on the corner. They'll get halted in. That's going to be the Flux coming out. Mortality Field is already pre-prepped, so will not lead to any kills and leave in the meantime. Manages to find 2. Pulse Pump from Fleta will get rid of Blengza. Needs to do a lot more than that. See, shots going through, almost finds Luffy. Leaf has to peel back, get the mini pack to try to stay alive. Fleta, however, not going to be given the same opportunity. Does get blown up by the dynamite, but the rest of Shanghai Dragons seem like they should be able to close out this fight and stay safe. Leaf is trying to turn that around on its head, though. Sees how low some of these members are. He's trying to get the kills, but Void snatches up that pulse bomb, and Leaf will fall to Lip, who re-arrives on the Doomfist.
It's another one of those situations for a different reason, but one of those situations where the longer the Chengdu Hunters stay alive, the better it is for Shanghai. It was a really long fight, and it was so close, in fact, favored the Hunters oftentimes in numbers. But the longer it went on, Shanghai got control back. They wrestled it back. Lip came back on the Doomfist. They were really desperate, but because the fight went so long, suddenly Chengdu's looking at an attack where they don't have ultimates, and they've only got 37 seconds here left remaining to take A and then push the cart forward just a few meters and close the series out. It feels less and less likely right now with Flux coming online here from Void very soon.
Bob going through, gets a knock up onto Void. Immortality Field has to be used to keep him alive. Kinetic Grasp will give him a nice amount of healing, or shielding rather, and Lip gets picked off. Fearless will finally get rid of the Bob, but now Void going to be gone moments before he can get the Flux ready to roll. Seems like this is going to have to be a Streets phase hold for Shanghai Dragons. Unless Fleta can suddenly just 1v5, but I don't know if he's even capable of deadlifting that much. 2.5 minutes again put into the clock. Just in front of point B is where Chengdu Hunters need to get to.
Yeah, and look at how far forward they're playing right now, because they want to get some kills here on the Shanghai Dragons members as they try to set up. They don't want Shanghai to have this high ground. They're just going to leave 1 on the cart because they have a decent amount of time. 2 minutes is still quite solid here to push this far. And look at that opening pick.
Yep, already finds Fleta. Headshot takes him down. Mortality Field will keep the Chengdu Hunters alive through the Flux. Transcendence up means this could be a little bit rough for Shanghai.
Ooh, but he falls while he does.
Huge pick there from Lip. Now comes around the side.
That might buy them enough time to get their own Transcendence for the Flux that Elsa has. He's actually going to use it now, very early in this fight.
Flux comes through, catches the tanks in the front. Immortality Field will keep them topped up as they push forward, trying to regain control of this high ground, overlooking the cart. Cart's still moving up for now, but that's going to be a double kill from Void off the bat. Before he can slams them to the ground, the Flux just eliminating them. Looking for the bounce on the spheres, but it will be Fleta killing off Bacon Jack in the end. So a very nice extended team wipe there from Shanghai Dragons gives them a hope to pick up this victory here. 1 minute and 5 seconds getting ready to be on the clock.
Achilles, I don't know about that Flux from Elsa there. I mean, they knew that, they should have known at least that Shanghai had Immortality Field. They were down on members, and sure, they probably also thought, okay, maybe we could do this before Izayaki has Trance, because he tranced fairly recently, but still, I mean, that's going to come back to bite them. Now, look at how quickly Void just gets the last part of this and does serious work. And things have really turned on their heads here once again. Shanghai having a nice chance to bring us to that 4th map.
It's fantastically done from this duo here. Go ahead and effectively wipe out the entire enemy team. Now back into the fight. Void already finds one onto Ating as Chengdu Hunters try to push up the staircase to displace Shanghai. Bacon Jack finds one, gets rid of Lip. He's got the Bob ready to go, but has enough time to rejoin in. The cart just now going to start getting pushed again. Has rolled back a decent distance. Bacon Jack constantly has to reposition here, make sure that he's not in a spot to get chased down by Fleta.
They've got the advantage in ults, they've got the longer fight advantage with the trance, if they can just hold on a few more
Somebody's got
seconds.
to tag the cart!
Oh no.
They finally do manage to do so. Okay, so they will not just let that one roll in for free. Fearless going to be taken down, but now it's going to be traded out as 18 falls as well, so no Arista's in the fight. Izayaki finds Langs up, Molly going to fall. Bacon Jack with the dynamite will get rid of Izayaki, but now the overtime starting to bleed away. They tag back in, leave, and Bacon Jack trying to bring this one back from the brink, but can Bacon Jack survive? Pushes over, resets the overtime, but it's bleeding away faster and faster, and no one can get there. So Shanghai Dragons with just a meter as the difference between them losing this series and holding out hope. They do manage to stave off the Chengdu Hunters and put a win on the board, starting to turn the gears of that potential reverse sweep.
When you raised your voice, I thought you were like a second ahead of me or something on the feed. I was like, oh, no.
It would not have been the first time that Shanghai has done this.
Nope,
I was so terrified that it was going to end like that. But not today.
There were a lot of issues with how Chengdu used their ultimates, I think, in that last push. Like I think they saw blood in the water, and they thought, okay, if we just win one fight, we win the map, right? So first was Elsa's Flux. That was a little bit too early there. Then we saw Transcendence kind of misplayed for Molly. So had a few of those today. And Shanghai was just kind of like, all right, if we just wait until the last second and contest in overtime, we just win that fight. We have Trance, we have Flux, we have the better positioning. And they almost waited like 1 second too late. But they ended up winning that fight pretty handily. Lip and Fleta having a good time there. Lip looking really good on the Ashe, and it kind of feels like we should probably just see a little bit more of this. Next map is Hanamura, so if they want to change things up to run Genji or something like that, something we could see with Ding and Fleta back in the lineup, maybe Ding, Trace, or Fleta on the Genji. But otherwise, I kind of feel like we just keep Lip in here for this series.
I think even to that point, just put Lip on Tracer and then just go from there. It's not like he's a poor Tracer player by any means. It just seems like there's a little bit more consistency and better communication between these two. Obviously, I'm not in the comms. If I was in the comms, I wouldn't be able to fully understand them anyway. But it just seems like these guys play better together, or at least just have more experience here in the 2020 season so far. So maybe, putting DM and putting Ding in, they just need to work on the synergies with them alongside Fleta. But for now, Lip working out well. Still, though, it was rough for Shanghai Dragons. They pulled off a good defense there, but their backs are still against the wall. They are still at match point. Chengdu Hunters could certainly close this out 3-1. Hanamura's coming up next, so make sure you guys stay tuned and see if that's going to be the last map, or if Shanghai can maybe pull off a second reverse sweep of the day.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile. Switch today and rank up to America's largest 5G network. T-Mobile.
this series 2-1. Now the scoreline. Chengdu Hunters still just one map away from closing out and finding victory over the Shanghai Dragons, but Shanghai able to pull off a nice defense there on Blizzard World. They keep their hopes alive. They start moving towards that potential second reverse sweep of the day.
Yeah, I mean, things are looking up for Shanghai Dragons here. It was a very close map, though. Let's not forget, it was not like Shanghai Dragons came back swinging and suddenly just took the wind out of Chengdu's sails. They struggled and barely were able to bring it back. And I think the Lip lineup, you know, not to use like alliteration intentionally or anything, but the Lip lineup is better so far than what we've seen from the other lineups, the other variations of the roster today. And I was thinking about what you said earlier, where you said it just felt like the synergy between Fleta and Lip is better. And yeah, it does feel that way. It does feel like they're able to line up a lot more kills. It does feel like Fleta's able to get those, finish off those dynamite targets that got hit when Lip tosses that in. And there's some solid synergy there. Now, do we see Genji going into Hanamura? I think that's the big question, and that might be kind of the big determining factor as to whether this lineup stays the same. Because, you were saying earlier you could keep Lip on the Tracer. Fleta can play Genji. Fleta can play anything, but he's a decent Genji player, so that could be what they go with. It's hard to say.
I mean, time will tell. We'll have to see as we get ready to jump into this next upcoming map here and see exactly how things are going to transpire on map 4, Hanamura, as you said. So I think that there's decent potential that we do see the Genji. We know the Fleta can play it to a decent degree. So I will be surprised now if we see a swap come through, removing Lip from the lineup. If that does happen, it's probably for a very specific comp reason, and that is what gives me pause and some concerns for Shanghai, because that's what we saw from DM, that's what we saw from Ding, and it did not work out so well when they were kind of shoehorning themselves into that singular composition that they think could win the series. So, I'm open-minded about it, but I think that keeping Lip in will just be more consistent success and more chances for Shanghai to find victories here. I'm not sure, again, why it seems like he has better synergy with Fleta. It might boil down to just better team-wide communication when Lip is in, because, you think about DM and Ding, they're two hyper-focused players on what they have going in front of them. For Ding, that's usually going to be a pharmacy battle. For DM, that's usually going to be the Widowmaker battle. So maybe having Lip in gives just a broader, broader communication as far as what's going on in the meta game during a map.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. Because Ding and DM are both like laser focused on what they're doing with the heroes they play and how they play them, and don't strike me as extremely communicative players. I mean, outside of the game is something else entirely, but in game, they don't strike me as super calmy, talking a lot. And I mean, the other thing too that we haven't really hit on too much in regards to this kind of narrative we're pushing is Fleta and Lip have been playing together all season. I mean, pretty much, with some exceptions. So that synergy is probably just built over time, and they do look a lot more comfortable together. And they're the duo that brought Shanghai to the May Melee Finals, that and stopped Seoul from getting that reverse sweep, or reverse sweep there.
Well, now they're trying to pull off that reverse sweep themselves, and we'll see if they're going to be able to do it as we jump in for Hanamura. Again, could be our last map of this series if they can't get that win and push us to a Game 5. Chengdu are going to be fighting tooth and nail to go ahead and close this one out. They want revenge, not over Shanghai necessarily, but revenge for how they performed yesterday. And I think so far they've gotten that, but getting that victory would really push them across the finish line in that regard. We have some changes, though. If you'll notice, Lee Jae-gon is in for Shanghai Dragons.
He is.
And we have Among, Yebeltal, and Jinmu back in for the Chengdu Hunters.
So, okay, well.
He's feeling good.
I did not expect to see this. And, he's made big waves. Obviously, Lucio's his most famous hero, but he's made big waves on the Brigida in particular this year. And, obviously that's not in the hero pool right now, but unless I missed it, I don't know if Shanghai ever made a statement about whether he was going to be returning to play soon or anything like that. So I'm a little bit surprised by this. I didn't think we were going to see him at all tonight. Just didn't think there was any chance. So let's see how he performs. I mean, I think if they put him in, then he's probably feeling good, like you said. Lip stays in, and we are going to see that opening Hangzhou Widows. Could be quite strong against the Orisa bunker setups, but it's actually a Pharah. So they change back to the Protect the McCree kind of pushing composition. And
going to be trying to get those headshots at a distance on the leave and otherwise take Jinmu out of the air.
Yeah, and Deadeye could be really, really strong at shutting down this composition. It's one of the tools that's kind of easy to avoid as the Pharah, but you know, if Deadeye comes out, you have to move out of the way, and then that's when things can get nasty.
Okay, well, Lee Jae-gon trying to go ahead and transfer over to the left side from the defender's perspective there of the gate, but not fast enough. Got tagged by Jinmu with a rocket, so easy setup on a kill. Interestingly enough, this is the time that they choose to have this Zarya.
Yeah, I mean, it helps a lot when you're trying to push against a lot of different compositions through this choke, because you can get your energy up pretty easily, and it also helps for Fearless. Not in this case, because there's nobody there, but...
Oh. Okay, well, it's going to be a nano boost onto Void, but already 2 members going to be gone, and Void only had 16 energy at the start of that, so kind of just a frivolous use of the nano boost.
Yeah, I mean, Fearless leapt early, right? So he was gone, and then he got bubbled, so Void didn't have another bubble for anyone else, so couldn't build any further energy, and Fearless didn't get any energy built there, so... Yeah, that was frivolous, I think is a good way to put it. Yeah, I would agree with that. Lee Jae-gon is actually trying to threaten a back cap to move the positioning. This is insane. This is what he does.
Yep, just zipping his way through. Even Jinmu can't line up the rockets fast enough or predict his movement. Among taking a lot of damage from both sides, but Fleta and Lip both going to be taken down. Barrage will be interrupted by the Sleep Dart there, but Izayaki fell, and this is just going to be a really rough start. 2 minutes gone, 2 minutes remaining.
I don't know if I ever thought, after casting Lee Jae-gon for 2 years, that I would say that I really don't like what he just did. I didn't think those words ever come out of my mouth, but I really don't like what he just did there. Like, he ran around, I thought he was going to try to threaten the cap and force him to react with his movement there, but then he was playing Tracer Lucio. He was like, oh, I'm on the side, I'm harassing you, and then, I mean, he just died, didn't do enough damage, he's Lucio. That was, I don't know if I'd call that a good play, unfortunately.
Okay, well that is a good one though. Lip managing to find the shot onto Jinmu. They force a position of Yabutol, so he cannot try to get that res off, at least not immediately. Zhong gets a drag back here onto Void, trying to finish him off, but he is fairly high energy, building up towards that Graviton Surge. Fearless with the Primal Rage will have that expire now as he leaps back down, looking to zap away at a Monk. Bionade will expire on him. Grab comes out, catches Bob, catches Leave. They will have to clean up, but Shanghai will have the point.
Yeah, I don't know if they needed the grab there, but it guarantees them the cap. I wonder if Void will swap. I don't think he needs to, but like, I mean, like, what happens here is if they see that it's still a Pharah, then I think they like the Zarya even more, but see it's not, they might decide to swap after this first push. Uses a shield pretty liberally here, we'll see. I mean, it's not a terrible composition by any means, but it was really strong with the McCree for the Pharah and how they were playing that first attack.
Flashbang out, looking for that kill, but the Hulk kind of denying that one away from Lip. In the meantime, though, 3 members gone inside of the Chengdu Hunters. They push out, manage to find Lip, but they lose so much, including the point. Cap starts coming through. Jinmu eventually is going to have to ice block down. Does so now.
A huge sip on Yabutol.
Nano Boost going to have to be used onto Jinmu to try to keep him alive. So far, it is working, but he's still taking consistent damage. And Void finally finds the kill. Leave cornered there in the cubby. Just gets whapped time and time again by Fearless. Is looking now to finish off both of the supports who are hovering around the back. Will be able to do so, getting that Goomba Stomp onto Yabutol at the end. The cap comes through, so Shanghai Dragons, after a really shaky start on Hanamura, managed to break through. A big overcommitment from Chengdu onto one lone member just opens up the point, and then they cannot recontrol it. So 3 minutes in the time bank.
Yeah, the problem is when you're going up against a McCree who's got flashbang and has a little bit of escape potential, and you aren't even that close to him to begin with, and you have to really close the distance. What you've essentially done versus the rest, or to the rest of your team, your support line, is you've left them vulnerable with no peel to Fleta's Tracer, which means Fleta's Tracer is going to have a great time, and Molly and Yveltal probably didn't appreciate that chase that we saw there onto Lip. And Lip bringing in all that aggro, all those cooldowns, allowed them to get exactly where they wanted to be. As you mentioned, you know, the drop down had to happen there for Jinmu on the Mei. And then we saw, you know, things got a little bit hairy for the Hunters as Yveltal was slept immediately. Izayaki slept him when he tried to come in on the Lucio to stall. And that meant that, you know, the tanks had to commit in, and you saw Among fall first. And things just really fell apart there all at once. At the highest level of play in Overwatch, and especially in the APAC region, I feel if you make one mistake like that, if you overcommit to one player, that overextension you were talking about on the Lip, I mean, you will get punished for it. Sometimes it can just cost you B. And it felt like there was going to be a weak time bank for the Shanghai Dragons. They didn't even have high energy for Zarya. They didn't have a grab, but no, they steamrolled right through.
I mean, to play devil's advocate, I understand wanting to get rid of the McCree because you don't want him to have that high ground control looking down onto the point. But it's, do you go in and kill him and then just lose the point, or do you peel back and then let him kind of have, you know, free reign up on that high ground that just poke and prod at people, get those headshots, and
I think
chunk
he just
them
played
out?
it slower. You know, I mean, he was just too far away.
I agree. I think that is I think that's definitely the better way to do it. But they made that decision. I think that's probably the reasoning why, to a certain degree at least. But now we'll have to see how Chengdu fares on their own attack. Elsa already going to be gone now. Leave joining him. Jinmu TP'd up here onto that high ground, but yeah, does not stand much of a chance.
That's not really his fault. I mean, he had to, like, he TP'd to kind of escape towards the point, but he was at half health, and then after using his other escape, then the rock just found him there at the end, and that's what caused him to perish there. But Shanghai Dragons here now with a pulse bomb, and that's very annoying for the Hunters as they try to close the gap. Jinmu's going to swap the Tracer.
Oh my goodness.
Well, Lip is just like, listen, never sub me out again.
Just let Lip play. Just let Lip play the Tracer. He's good at it. They're doing it.
Well, Jinmu's going to take a long time to build his Dragon Blade at the rate he's going. He's not pocketed either, and Shanghai Dragon's not really exposed here with the far composition that they're running. So he's it's a slow build. It's a slow build.
Yeah. Slow burn comp.
Yeah, but, you know, I mean, it can really mess with your tempo here when you're just kind of trying to do a lot. I mean, you're trying to poke slowly, but also try to rush in.
Okay, well, picks are coming through. Fearless managing to find Elsa, but has no HP. Fleta going to be slept, flop down on the ground. That momentary pocket heal come out from Lee Jae-gon, and he's just like, nah, I'm going to kill Molly instead. Does manage to do so, but Chengdu Hunters managed to break through, and they have so many ultimates on the way. Jinmu, crucially, 32% away from the Dragon Blade. The Nano Boost is already set for him to go, though. But
it's
starting just shy of 5 minutes now. This could be huge for Chengdu.
It's a tragedy we didn't get to see Among's perspective for a lot of that, because he was actually the one who was racking up the kills. He was getting the backline and making those happen, while Fleta was struggling to try to take down everyone. Jinmu was more of a distraction than anything else, but in the longer fight, yeah, he did get some dash resets. He did build up 80% of the blade. And the Nano Boost, as you mentioned, ready for that. And this could be a double cap here if they can get that last 18% of his Dragon Blade set up for a big play. Well, that's going to make things hard to do that.
I mean, he can still eco in, try to get that. Barrage is going to be coming down, however, from Fleta. He's just gating everybody away from the point and ensuring that Chengdu will go for the reset. So he pops one ultimate. They don't get any in return from Chengdu, which would have been, you know, great for them. But all the same, they buy time. And now with just a minute difference between the two squads, it's looking like Shanghai should at least be able to secure a superior time bank.
Yeah, at worst case scenario, they should be able to have a superior time bank. It's going to be 12 ults online nearly here, 11. Fleta using his barrage previously. Didn't swap, he's sticking with it. Nano Blade here is going to be the opening.
Hasn't drawn it yet, now finally we'll go for it. Fearless getting clipped by the mines. Gets finished off. He's on the hunt, but instead Jinmu going to get caught up in that flux. Uses the deflection to try and survive the accretion, not going to connect. Res comes through from Lee Jae-gon. Put the Winston back into the fight. Now he's going to be nanoed, has that Primal Rage, already finds the kill, as it will be a trade-off on the Ana. Suzuki and Molly both going to be falling. Yveltal getting zapped, falling lower and lower. Will have that kill scooped by Lip. Also the back line gets rid of one, but this is looking like a pretty done fight in favor of the Shanghai Dragons, given the defender's advantage, the fast run backs. They will be able to clean up these final kills. 44.1% is surrendered to the Chengdu Hunters, so they start at least at that first tick, but Shanghai have done it. They have that superior time bank guaranteed.
And this is going to force Chengdu to swap their composition. There's no way they could try to continue to run Genji here. This also may, you know, as soon as they see the McCree, Shanghai is probably going to swap Fleta off of this as soon as he gets the chance to. Can't, like, at this exact second, they'll probably swap too. But Chengdu is kind of like, oh no, like, we're not worried about time now. We're worried about finishing this map. We got to build a Blizzard. We got to build a Trance. We're going to have to win this longer team fight. This is an emergency, dire situation now. When it was a great set of ultimates, they just could not break through with. Barrage is going to be very annoying to deal with here too, with no Diva.
Well, they look to halt him down around the corner. They force him to reposition so he can't be ready to just dump the barrage on top of their skulls. Still pushes back up though. Playing his angles. You see Fearless going in, trying to disrupt the team. One kill going to be coming through his leave, gets dropped. And Among in such a bad position, will be cleaned up by the Rockets. Lip gets 2, both supports going to be taken out with the Pulse Bomb.
The meat grinder.
I mean, you've got effect, flashbacks here.
Sure. You've got Fearless on one side, primaling everyone into a barrage on the other side. You're stuck between a rock and a hard place. You can't really escape. You try to regroup, and then that's when the Pulse Bomb comes in on top of your entire stacked-up team. It is not where you want to be as Chengdu. Now remember, they had to do that push ultless. It was what we call eco push, where they're trying to build up ultimates because they swapped their entire composition. But that's the weakness. That's the struggle. That's the risk you take when you run a Genji push into that without swapping first, because now you're so behind in ultimates, you've lost so much time. Shanghai in great position here to bring us to a 5th map.
Jinmu gets the mini pack. Lee Jae-gon going to be popping that Valkyrie. Fearless gets the nano boost from Izayaki. Chunks down to about half HP, but it can just push forward with Void holding everybody in the flux. Leads to 2 kills. Leave only able to find 1. And now is backed up into a corner and finished off.
Well, I mean, Rez comes through here onto Lip. Means that they can actually chase even further. And this is every second they buy is huge. Now, it's not over yet.
Get the telescope, Wolf. Get the telescope.
Yeah. It's not over yet because Chengdu can finish this in overtime. With the Transcends they now have, they're going to have their own Gravitic Flux. Void had to use this in the previous fight. I think the real X factor is going to be the same combo we just saw with Fearless trapping them on one side, Fleta coming on the other with the barrage. Then Lip comes with the pulse. Like, those 3 ultimates are once again ready, and they might just simply die to them again if Fearless can set it up with the primal. They're going for the back first, though.
Okay, they force it. Great play there by Lip, forces the Transcendence, and now they won't have it in the extended fight. Fleta getting to position. They know that that ult is gone. And that grasp does come through. Molly gonna fall, but Fleta actually stays alive for a little bit longer than you might have anticipated, given that immortality field there from Lee Jae-gon. Perfectly placed. Not as impactful a barrage as you might have thought, but the damage is still dealt here to the Chengdu Hunters, who need to make their way over towards the point. Can they tag it? Yes, they do. Double manages to find Lip. Jinmu going to be taken down, so they're running out of options. Double dead in the air as he tries to make his way back over to the point, and there you go. Shanghai Dragons will be able to close it out on Hanamura, and they will be pushing us to a map 5.
I mean, I guess the answer was just going back to your championship squad, right? Just keep bringing the pieces back one by one.
I like to think that Lee Jae-gon was just kind of watching from the sidelines, and he's just like, you know what, I feel good enough to play. We need to win this series.
Where's the Lee Jae-gon tweet longer about how he felt bad for the rest of the APAC region, so he just took a step back so the teams didn't feel so bad. He's like, look, Shanghai's winning everything. Seoul has been having a really hard time. I just thought maybe I'd take a step away from the keyboard for a little while. And now my team's in trouble. Time to come back in. Yeah. He played well, minus that weird like Lucio flank where you're like, okay, this is not a ranked game. But then he came back and played normal.
He was showing the rollout to get to the point. He was trying to make it to the top of Reddit right there with that one. But maybe we'll make it there for the wrong reasons. But either way, Shanghai Dragons still looking reinvigorated, looking strong, pushing us now into that Game 5, trying to pull off the reverse sweep. We're going to find out if they can do it. We got one more commercial break, and then when we come back, we'll see who takes this series, Chengdu or Shanghai.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
here we go, guys. Game 5, second in a row now coming up. We saw it in our first series with Guangzhou getting that reverse sweep. Now Shanghai Dragons looking to do the exact same thing versus Chengdu. We saw the changes come through for them throughout this series with the roster. The surprise one being Lee Jae-gon there for Hanamura. It worked out. They secure Game 5. One more map of control is all that stands between them and defeating the Chengdu Hunters.
It's Busan. I say keep the roster the same. I don't think we need to bring out the Geguri Wrecking Ball like we had in Game 1. I don't think we need to see any changes to the style of play we're seeing, which is that safer, slower style of play.
Don't touch it.
Just don't touch it. No more subs. Just leave it alone. If you're Chengdu Hunters, I think you kind of have to leave things alone as well here, too. You can't really – I don't think you want to bring Bacon Jack in here. I don't think you need necessarily A-Ting in this map. I think Among has been playing incredibly well on the Wrecking Ball. I feel like we haven't even highlighted it as well as he is playing on Wrecking Ball. I think you could right now in this meta and with the style observing we have in our region, you don't really see a lot of Wrecking Ball observing. Sometimes you see a Minefield come out, but you're mostly watching the Tracers, you're watching the Widows, you're watching the Genjis. But if you watch Among in the kill feed, or you watch where if you're like looking at the periphery of everything that's happening, you could see he's making quite a large impact. I'd say I personally think we really need to have him in this fifth and final game. Chengdu started this series off with a win on Control, but things are slipping away.
Yeah, I mean, but now we're anticipating that they're going to be facing a completely different lineup, of the Shanghai Dragons that they, compared to the one that they defeated at the beginning of this. So I agree with you. I think that you just don't touch it. If it's not broken, don't fix it. Just leave it how it is. So I'm anticipating that we still have Lip and Fleta as the DPS lineup here for the Shanghai Dragons. Probably still have Lee Jae-gon come in. I don't think that he's going to just come in to secure a Game 5 and then step away. He's got to see it through. For Chengdu Hunters, though, we have to see if there's going to be any changes for the DPS lineup. They've been very fluid with both Bacon Jack and Jinmu. So do we see Bacon Jack come in for this fifth and final game? It is Busan, as you said, so having that hit scan threat in the Widowmaker makes a lot of sense, and he has been playing very well today, so that change I have no qualms with whatsoever.
I mean, I wouldn't hate it by any means, but, when you go into Mecha Base, for example, you want to have your Reaper in, and you want to have your Mei Reaper set up, I think, if you're Chengdu. I think Pharah is still a really strong option for them. On the same maps, we could see the Widowmaker or see the Ashe come through for Bacon Jack. I feel like I'd rather see them stick with the Pharah because they're doing great with so far. But Shanghai's no slouches either in terms of their Pharah play. We've kind of seen success on both sides throughout this series. I'm okay with either option. I think that's one of those moments where if you're the coach of the Chengdu Hunters and you're looking at the situation, you're like, it's a tough call, You don't really have like a perfect option here. And if you run Jinmu over Bacon Jack, then you're kind of putting yourself in a position where you feel like you have to run the Pharah. But if you take Jinmu out, it feels like you can't run the Pharah. So it's a catch-22 problem.
It's definitely a little bit rough around the edges and a bit of a chess game as far as where you want to move the pieces in. But seems like we do have some changes. The players aren't quite ready yet, so we're going to go to another quick break, and then when we come back, we will be jumping into that Game 5 to see who can close out the series. So don't go anywhere, guys. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Okay, here we go. We are back now, and hopefully ready to jump into game. Get the players situated, I do believe, so we can finish off this series and see who will be able to take it. Will this be a reverse sweep for the Shanghai Dragons, or will they pull a Seoul Dynasty and fall short right at the finish line?
I mean, part of the narrative for the first two maps that we kept kind of hammering home, myself especially, was like, okay, Shanghai Dragons, this is not the same Shanghai Dragons who won the May Melee, not only in play, but also in literally the players they were using. So now that we've gotten the roster back to where it was before, and the roster that's had the most success, the most fame this season, and that I've been kind of touting as the best team in the Overwatch League for a really long time, they're dominating again. It's looking pretty one-sided. It's looking like the series that we expected to see going into this. Everyone thought this might be a 3-0 for Shanghai Dragons. It started off 0-2, but you bring in the star-studded lineup, you bring in the champions here of the May Melee, and suddenly it feels very different. And you talked about Bacon Jack. He's here in this lineup, although Among is temporarily not, so we're going to have a quick little pause. But yeah, I mean, Among's in, so it looks like we are going to see some of that hit scan, and we're starting on Sanctuary, so that's where you want to be. Yeah.
So do have the Bacon Jack. So we'll see if he can deliver another strong performance for us, like he was doing, throughout the majority of this series. But waiting for an update, guys. But we should be able to jump into this game pretty quickly here. I can see the readies coming out in the chat, so we should be able to just keep the ball rolling here and not have to hopefully have any more breaks or anything like that, so we can finally get to the conclusion of this and see just who is going to be able to take this one away. So looks like we should be jumping in. Yep, countdown now coming up on the screen. So let's go ahead and resume and now see who is going to be able to take this in the end.
Yep. It's all online, elephant in the room, no doubt, is sometimes people are going to have connection issues and stuff like that, but it's actually been when we got to the point where we knew Overwatch League was going to be online, I was panicked, I was worried, but it's actually been way smoother than I ever could have imagined. Running all this stuff and us casting from homes, like you and I on the opposite ends of the United States, casting together for most of the season, and then now we're back home in Korea. But yeah, speaking of online, I'm like, caster curse.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, I was just gonna say, Chengdu Hunters are like the only Chinese team that didn't leave China at all. Like a lot of the teams when the COVID-19 was really starting to kick off and get bigger and bigger, a lot of teams went to the U.S., right? And then the Korean teams wanted to go back to Korea. But Chengdu's kind of always been in China. And that's probably something that's really been really comfortable for them this season, is just kind of not having to relocate and rotate around the world. And it's caused a lot of problems for a lot of teams in terms of their planning, their practice facilities. Yeah. Chengdu is just like, I'm good right here. And that's probably something that we never really talk about, but something that probably feels pretty nice for them.
Yeah, well, seems like there are some extraneous issues that we have, so we will have to go to another quick little break, guys, and then when we come back, we'll see the conclusion of this series, so don't go anywhere. Never mind. I'm being told that we are actually getting ready to go into game, so no break. So let's see the conclusion of the series now.
I think the players said ready in the chat, so
whenever
they say ready, you never know. We're
just waiting for the admins to clear it rather, so that we can go straight back through. So we should be ready to go in. So apologies for the debate there. Just waiting for that countdown timer to pop back up.
There it is.
Okay.
I don't think anyone's going to be upset about no break.
Back in game. Okay. And I'm going to walk back over to my computer, and we'll see if I have to get back in front of camera again. Hopefully not until the end of this series.
All right, so this is the map of the three, the section where you're going to see the Widow v Widow really come out. Sanctuary here, and Lip's going for a flank at the moment. Oh. No. Leave left the game. That's kind of a punny thing to see in the in-game chat. Living up to his name there, I guess, in this case.
Yeah, he dipped. So yeah, seems like there's still going to be some connection issues going on for the Chengdu Hunters. So I don't know. We're waiting for an update now. See if this will in fact be going to a break, or if we will just be able to go straight back in, we have to wait and see. So for now, you're stuck with what? We're stuck with us.
He re-entered the game and said R, so that indicates that he's ready. But even though everyone has said they were ready before, I mean, they are ready. Perhaps their internet connection or what's going on with the computer is not. So
yeah.
I don't want to promise anyone we're going back to the game that we're going to stay there, but the countdown is starting again.
Okay. How many times will it take? Here we go.
You've heard of Sideshow Overwatch, but have you heard of Slideshow Overwatch? Okay, we're back.
We're getting this at one frame at a time. We have a lip on the Widowmaker Bacon Jack going to be matching. Playing around opposite sides as Leave tries to get into the back. Gets a bit of damage here onto Izayaki. He's looking to finish him off. Izayaki desperately needs some help, but he's not going to be able to receive any Leave. After rejoining the game, finds that kill. And that is going to allow for Molly to get a very significant lead as far as the Charge is concerned. And it looks like we have another disconnect. So
I feel like this is just comical at this point. Like
it is.
I feel bad.
It definitely is.
I don't know.
There's nothing we can do. We just have to sit here and deal with it. So that's that's it. We just sit here and we fight through it, Wolf.
Yeah, I mean,
oh no. And it's got the contested sound ticking constantly now in the game because it doesn't cancel a lot of the game audio. So I just have that going on.
Yeah, same. It's like
I'm gonna turn into Captain Hook, where it's got the alligator with the clock or whatever, and every time he hears that, he starts freaking out. This is gonna be me after this.
I guess luckily for the fans, I don't think they can hear that, but you and I can because our feed is completely separately with everything else that you guys see. But yeah, it almost sounds like repeated crickets or something in the background.
Yeah, like if you just cut the sound of a cricket short, like right on the first couple milliseconds of it, just over and over again. All right, so it seems like we are going to go to a quick break to get this sorted, and then come back in and see what happens. We're all in this together, so stick with us. All right, and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. The beeps are still haunting my dreams, but hopefully we are closer to getting into this game and seeing who is going to be able to take this series in the end. The tension has just been rising with every beep.
This game feels like it's about to explode, man. I've been staring at the game feed that you guys can't see but can only hear to see if anyone gave any updates in the chat, and there have not been any updates in the chat. I'm sure admins are talking to each other via voice communication at the moment and trying to figure out what the best solution to this problem is. As far as I can tell, no one has left the game, though, since that moment. So I don't know if that's because chat's paused during the pause or because no one's left. So if no one has actually left, that's a good sign. I'm just out here speculating and losing my mind because of the cricket chirping.
Yeah, it's slowly whittling away at the very thin barrier of sanity that I have.
Yeah, it's like what little we have left is just being taken away. Okay.
My shields took so much of a battering yesterday from the Spitfire series, and then from the ending of the NYXL series. So I was sitting on a very thin line of rope, and this is just taking an inch off of that rope every single time the chirp goes through for the beep. But I'm getting confirmation that we should be heading into the game very shortly here, so we should be underway, and we should be freed from this beeping prison that we have been thrust into. I'm seeing somebody in the chat saying going in, but I'm also hearing that the pause might be extended. So in that case, I don't know what's happening. So we're just going to keep talking until we get a solid confirmation. As you can see, I lost the jacket. It was getting a little too warm in here. Unfortunately, in Korea, we do not have like central air installed in apartments and whatnot. That's not something very common. So I've got one air conditioning unit in the living room about 20-something feet away from me that is not siphoning enough air into here. So
yeah, I've got a really small one, too, over in the corner. All right, the countdown started, so no promises, but we're going to at least show you the game for a second.
All right. I'm gonna move over here, back to the computer. You already see kills coming through. Fleta and Void both going to be taken down. And Leave doing some serious work, and this is very much a fight going the way of Chengdu. They have already locked down the point, and they win the fight. So now it's the reapproach here for the Shanghai Dragons.
Okay, I think we're good.
Don't you jinx this one.
And by we, I mean everyone but the Shanghai Dragons, who just lost that crazy scenario of fights. Okay, well, we can talk about the game for real. Fleta is going to go for a flank and hopefully disrupt the positioning so Lip can get an angle here. He's done way more damage than Bacon Jack has, despite the loss on that first team fight.
Yeah, really quick recall there from Fleta. Doesn't want to play with fire. So how many people were playing there from the Chengdu Hunters and knew that it's not really a backline assassination that he can pull off without a little bit of extra help, which is why Void is pressing up right now. Tracer arriving right in front of him, but didn't have the accretion ready to go, so cannot try and get that kill. Quarter cap here for Shanghai Dragons. Fleta going to be taken down, but Fearless manages to find Among, so they break down that front line. One less shield to stand behind. Flip will come through as the Hunters hit 57%, but Hunters might be able to just get a quick retake as Lip does get picked off here by Bacon Jack.
Yeah, that means Bacon Jack has really free roam around this point to actually flank and find those angles. Pulse Bomb here not amazing for Leave, but I mean, this point is being taken away from Shanghai very quickly.
Yeah, you can hear Flux for Flux. Lee Jae-gon going to get taken down as Iyaki finds a headshot, though, onto Leave. Does get rid of a lot of pressure for himself in particular. And now can focus on getting that Transcendence online. Molly's has since expired. The team alive here for the moment as Bacon Jack tries to go on the hunt to get a shot on the left. Looks well aware of where he is positioned.
Beeping is back.
Also sees a chain there. And looking for the hit. Manages to find it. Bacon Jack takes him away. Looking for a bit more though. Shanghai still in control of this point. The barrier denying Bacon Jack any access to Void. So he cannot get that kill, so Void just pushes around the back, cleans up House, finishes off Bacon Jack, and Shanghai will be able to maintain control through all the chaos, and also it will now be taking the lead here in the first round.
Yeah, that was a crazy close exchange. I'll be honest with you, for a second, the beeping in my head indicated that we had a problem, but actually it's just a normal contesting sound. The Shanghai Dragons now have this Flux as well. Like, that's the really big win they have on top of grabbing the point, and that's why we're watching Void right now. The observers want to make sure they catch this moment here as the Chengdu Hunters try to approach. Immortality Field is going to be at the ready to shut this down.
If you're Fleta, try to get a Pulse Bomb in immediately.
Yes.
To force out the Immortality Field and then set up for the Flux play. I think is the best way that you could try to make things happen here. Ampersite will be rolling for Lip. Spots on the team. Leaves trying to make his way into the back. Flux will be coming through. Stick now coming out. Fleta gets a 2-for-1. Among and Bacon Jack both going to be eliminated.
And that's, I mean, he did it the opposite direction, like, or the opposite way than what you said, but it was the same concept. The Flux goes on one side, and that's going to win them the round. The Flex goes on one side, so Immortality Field is there, but it's not with the other side that's Pulse there, the back line, as we will have, unfortunately, the P in the chat! Oh, any P's in the chat?
Unfortunately, it only takes one.
So yeah, Immortality Field forced with the Flux, and then Fleta finds the bomb, picking them apart exactly as you were suggesting. And, well, we're back, but at least
we're back.
No cricket sounds, no contesting.
There's no cricket sounds. It's just a one single round victory for Shanghai Dragons here. One away from pulling off this reverse sweep. Chengdu Hunters, though, continuing to have tech issues, it would seem. So the pause does come through.
Yeah. I mean, at least the pause happened, like, literally in between rounds. But that doesn't necessarily mean that, like, that the issue didn't happen until the in-between rounds or anything like that. It's still an unfortunate situation. But
I think, like, given how many start and stops that we've had so far, I think that if the issue had happened prior, that they would have pulled the trigger on it anyway. Yeah. But that's wishful thinking from me, at least. But I mean, at hopefully it's something that has happened here as we get ready to switch rounds.
At least there's no moment where you're unpausing right now and somebody, like, continues shooting at someone or is, like, trying. It was, like, a mid-blink trying to figure out everything there is to know and where they can go. So, yeah, that's the silver linings, right, Achilles? So we look for the positive in all of this. Like, we're in game 5, 6 series. Don't do this to me right now! Don't do this to me right now!
I'm sorry. Normally, I'm not the one making the terrible.
I walked
jokes,
right into that one. I walked right
into
that one.
You did. You did walk right into that one. But much like they walked into that double pulse bomb that we just saw from Fleta a little bit ago. But seems like we should be ready to jump in. This seems like it's not going to be an extended issue. And I'm seeing the R's in the chat, so we should be good to go. Yep, Shanghai now confirming that they're good. We're getting the admin saying that we're going back into game, and the timer is up on the screen, so I'm going to go ahead back over to my PC in just a moment.
Yeah.
Giving it a second to breathe. Ready. There's downtown, and now I'm walking over.
Me too.
All right. Ready for battle. That's what I have been for the last half hour.
Well, Shanghai Dragons. We started on Control. We had Geguri in on the Wrecking Ball. Void's playing it now. They've changed the roster back up to the original roster, the Melee roster. Fleta's on the Genji, and we're finally going to see the Fleta Lip Genji Tracer that we've been alluding to a lot. We talked about how we might see it potentially on Hanamura. We didn't see it this exact same setup, the exact same way. But now it's coming in here on Busan. Hunter's going to have to react to this. Right now, Bacon Jack's still on the Widow.
Fleta just getting that wall climb going through. Molly managed to find Lip. Pile driver in will get a bit of damage for Void, but does manage to find Lings on the back end of it, but it's the cost of Fearless. Leading on with a Discord Orb falling low. They're trying to get the kill onto him, but seems like he's amped it up. Will be able to survive. Coupled with the extra healing coming through from Izayaki allows him to survive, and the point starts getting capped by Shanghai. Void trying to take that one up by himself. Hasn't gotten it yet. Several members of the Chengdu Hunters have made their way over, but they're so low. As you can see, Void just rolls through lead. It's a melee hit there onto Elsa.
The tragic recall where he's like, oh, I went up from 9 health to 27 health. I tripled my health with that recall. Unfortunate timing on that one. But yeah, he gets taken out instantly. And Shanghai Dragons once again get this early lead. They're building up close to a Dragon Blade. Bacon Jack swaps over to the McCree, getting him a little bit more peel potential here for the Genji. Not going to match this one, because this is what I was talking about, right? If you run Bacon Jack, you're stuck on hit scan. You can't really run the Genji. That's a Jinmu thing. So that's one of the limits that they have now.
A good move back. Not that Void would have collided with too much. Just making sure that he can't roll through and build up towards that minefield. Pile driver. Get a slight little catch there on Lengza, but he can just hug the wall right away. Shanghai Dragons having a very scrappy fight here. Lose out on a couple members. Lengza will be able to get the right-click kill on a Fleta.
Okay, so Lengza almost 1v1s Void and then kills Fleta, who's got a Dragon Blade available. Actually insane.
Minefield is here on the point. Elsa manages to get rid of Lin. Sound Barrier going to be committed. Doesn't catch Fleta. Away from the point here, trying to get back in with the rest of the squad. Still holding on to that Dragon Blade for the moment. Flip usually comes in for Chengdu Hunters, but they can't stay on the point long enough to actually get that. Now the Primal Rage is going to be coming through the flashbang. Isn't going to mean jack right now for Bacon. Didn't even mean that one, but does delay a little bit longer, and Fearless seeming like he's not going to be able to find any knockoffs inside of the map, so not going to be the most impactful ultimate. The flip is there for Hunters in control, starting to tick their way up. The Shanghai Dragons just go ahead, peel back towards the spawn for the reset. As I say that though, Fearless recommits here onto the high ground. Lee Jae Gun comes in from behind, gets rid of Bacon Jack with a melee hit, so suddenly Shanghai might be able to press forward on this.
I think they can. They can Blade here for sure. They know there's no sound barrier.
Yeah, Blade coming out. He's looking for the supports in the back. Instantly deletes Molly. Now is on the hunt. Tries to find Lengza, but Lip is already there for the cleanup, so we'll just settle for Among instead. Primal Rage comes through from Elsa, but Leaf going to be taken down, and Elsa just has to use the rest of that Primal to just go ahead and exit back over towards the spawn.
That's really terrible that he has to use it like that, too. That's one of the tools they really, really wanted to have. Bacon Jack, again, swapping over the Torbjorn. These are the drawbacks, you know. I mean, I keep mentioning I sound like a broken record, but you play Bacon Jack, then you can't play Widow, and then you're playing Torbjorn, you're playing McCree in compositions that don't require that, don't ask for that. I mean, it's a smart pick given his hero pool, but it's not ideal.
Getting the cap right now are the Chengdu Hunters. Will finally be contested. The turret going to be taken away as Bacon Jack comes back through with the Torbjorn, but needs to start popping off pretty hard here. Among swings through, finds Lee Jae Gun, takes him off the side of the map, and Lingza will get rid of Fleta yet again. This time with the headshots, and Chengdu Hunters will be able to win the fight.
Elsa here back halfway to a Primal Rage. The momentum shift is definitely here right now for the Chengdu Hunters. Bacon Jack's Torb is great at anti-dive. It's great versus Tracer and Genji. He's been making the most of it here. He's going to have a Primal, or excuse me, a Molten Core coming up in shortly.
I felt like Fleta should have swapped. It took him a while to make up his mind, but will be moving over onto the Soldier. Trying to play that Genji into the Torbjorn once he's entrenched to the point can be really difficult, so a good swap. Take a little bit of time to make sure that that one goes through. Molly's going to be rolling the Coalescence. You can see Fearless just pushing him back around the corners to make sure that he can't be offering up healing to his teammates. Now Lengza loses the sound barrier. Fearless crushes him into the corner, takes that away from him. He casts it in midair, then dies, and oh no, what a tragedy here for the Chengdu Hunters. Desperately needed that ultimate to try to win out this fight, to maintain control of the point, instead of Shanghai, who now have it back in their hands. OT going to be bleeding away. It seems like one after the other, the Chengdu Hunters, they will just trickle in onto the point, but be shut down in a similar manner, and there you have it. Shanghai able to close out Busan with a 2-0 to complete the reverse sweep.
Well, there you go. I mean, a pretty crazy final map. I think one of those final maps that people are going to, I think, be a little bit... there's going to be a lot of discussion about it, let's just say, as my voice cracks here.
Sure.
Maybe a little bit of discussion.
A little bit of discussion.
A little bit of discussion about this one at the end of the day. But look, Shanghai Dragons played a more flexible composition. Genji was the choice they had there at the end that really kind of ripped Chengdu's ult economy apart. And Bacon Jack was constantly trying to find the proper counter hero. And, you know, they did force Fleta off Genji eventually, but... yeah, this is why I personally didn't want Bacon Jack subbed in for the last map. You made some arguments as to why they might do it. They did it. Didn't work out the way they planned. Very close series, though. Very, very close. And Shanghai, I think the moral of the story here is stick with that Championship 6. Stick with the roster that you won the May Melee with.
Yeah, stick with what has been working. You know, I think that they kind of learned that by the end of the series. I mean, I get it. They probably didn't want to put Lee Jae Gun in early. Because of, you know, his condition, but seems like he was up to it. When he came in, they took over the series. They were able to close it out. We'll go ahead and take a look at our player of the match presented by Xfinity, and it's the guy who has been, you know, throughout this series consistent. It's Fleta, of course. Just performed extremely well in every single map. You know, even early on where they were having their shortcomings, Fleta was consistently popping off and being put into that position like we were discussing of having to perform a Fleta deadlift to try and get the map win.
Yeah, I mean, he's saved them so many times when his team was down 2 or 3 and he had to help win a 3v6 fight or 3v5 fight. He was always in the back line waiting for those perfect pulse moments. The amount of times we saw Fleta building kill feed was astronomical. There's so many clutch moments for this guy throughout these 5 maps, and there were some great moments across the roster for the Shanghai Dragons. We saw a lot of different looks for them. We saw Lip come in and really save the day. We saw DJ Gon come in as well, but Fleta was there from map 1 to map 5, and he didn't look weak in any single map, in any single moment. I think he's their best choice for the player of the match.
Yeah, absolutely. I think just kind of bar none had to be him. So very straightforward and easy conversation to have when selecting that. And, I mean, he's got to feel relieved. He was pushing so hard throughout those first 2 maps to try to get Shanghai across the finish line to make sure that they didn't get put in that reverse sweep position. Unfortunately, it did happen, but just consistently strong the whole way through. Him coming back in with Lip, alongside him was just super strong, and you can tell that this is the core for the Shanghai Dragons. This is the team that has the most synergy, the most potential, and they reached that again. They pull off this reverse sweep against Chengdu, who, correct me if I'm wrong, Wolf, I think is the only team to beat them so far this season.
No, I think they lost to Guangzhou once as well.
Okay, perhaps.
Very early on, like in week.
I think the first loss.
Play.
I think the first loss that Shanghai had though was to Chengdu. I could be wrong about that. My brain's a little frazzled at the moment, but I'm pretty sure that at some point that did happen. Maybe I
think they lost to Guangzhou in their second series because I remember just being like, "Oh my God, Shanghai's the best team," and then when they lost to Guangzhou, everyone was tweeting at me like, "Oh yeah."
I'll have to double check it. I could be very wrong in saying that. I probably am, but man, what a series. We finally got the end of that, but we're not done yet, guys. We've got NYXL going up against the London Spitfire. This is going to be such a real test for this young squad. They looked so good yesterday versus Chengdu, taking them out in that sweep. So we'll see if they can do the same to NYXL, but this is going to be a much tougher opponent for them. So we'll see how things transpire when we come back after a quick break.